When someone says Israel did 9/11, I'd go, you know what? I've never looked into it. Maybe they did. Maybe I can ask you this. Do you think that calling everyone you disagree with a Nazi reduces your ability to achieve the explicit or implicit goals you may have for advancing the political stability of our nation?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I get really triggered when people on the left call everybody a Nazi, yeah.
And you think Sam Hyde is a Nazi?
Undoubtedly. There's no reasonable person can disagree. It just has to do with how familiar
Really?
you are
I
with
disagree.
concepts. That's because you either lack the backing, you're a Nazi and you don't want to reveal it, or you didn't.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes. That's what you asked me the first time.
Sure. I'm 100% confident though, but I've spent a lot of times like in these subcultures, and I know like all the dog whistles, I know all of the messaging, and it's like, and I know prior even to this video that Sam Hyde is essentially a neo-Nazi and professes a lot of the basically those types of beliefs. So, but.
What do you mean Nazi? What does that mean to you?
So I said neo-Nazi. I mean, like technically Nazi implies something more specific, I think. I think neo-Nazi is a bit broader, but usually I think your tenets of neo-Nazism is there's going to be some allegiance to some amorphous concept of whiteness in the United States. This is usually presented as like good European stock or European heritage or European ancestry, something like vague like that. And then there's usually some component of either the Jews or something Jewish adjacent controlling all of society, and that a lot of the social ills that we have today are the result of those two things interacting with each other. It's usually Jewish people who are trying to undermine our white European stock. So through things like immigration, the Jews are for immigration because they're trying to outbreed white people. It's why families and childbirth is like so important to a lot of these people. It's why Candace Owens and other people talk about like pornography being created by a Jew. The reason why they bring that up is because pornography is there to make the white man no longer want to breed, but just like jerk off all day. And there's a million of these things. But yeah, broadly speaking, those are like, I think like the two prongs of how I see the neo-Nazi stuff manifest in current politics, whatever the social online shit is.
Okay, okay, there's like a bunch of different things. I mean, Nazis referred to a specific group of Hugo Boss wearing, military maniacs. So when you go to the extreme example, I mean, you could say like racist or anti-Semite or something.
Well, yeah, but he's not just racist Nazi, or anti-Semite. Yeah, that's why I'm also saying like neo-Nazi. I think racist doesn't really capture it. But this is why I specify neo-Nazi, because Nazi implies usually something a little bit more specific, although sometimes they'll even call themselves Nazis, but that's why I say neo-Nazi, yeah.
Okay, well, when I think of Nazi, I think of Adolf Hitler blitzkrieging through Poland.
That's fine. That's why I'm not saying Nazi. I'm saying neo-Nazi.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe there's enough distinction there. Fuck, I should write down what you said, because there's like three things. Sam Hyde. Okay, you said this is why they're very concerned with. Okay, actually, well, I'll start with this. You said these are why these people are concerned with birth rates and stuff, right? Are there other potential reasons why someone might care about birth rates?
What do you think? What do you think my answer is to every question you're about to ask?
Probably yes.
Okay, and then your next question is going to be what?
My next question would be, fuck, I just had it.
Because we can just shortcut. I don't know, because that's like pointless 30 minutes of conversation, right? Don't you think there are legitimate reasons to be concerned with like pornography and birth rate? And I'm going to say, well, yeah, of course there are legitimate reasons to be concerned with it. And people that aren't Nazis can be concerned with it. You're going to say, oh, well, how do you tell the difference between the two? And then I'm going to say, well, obviously it's an amalgamation of all these beliefs together, and it's the motivation for these beliefs. Then so we can like fast forward to that part. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a Nazi to me is someone who wants to kill Jews, who has as one of their goals the death of Jewish people. You think Sam Hyde has that as one of his goals?
I don't think a neo-Nazi typically pushes for death. They usually just push for separation. But if it came to that, I'm sure they'd be okay with it. So like deporting everybody, or at least like removing their influence from society.
Okay, so you do not think that Sam Hyde wants death to Jewish people?
Right? I think if he had a button to push, he would do it. Absolutely, yeah.
If you had a button to push to take out all the MAGA people, what would you do?
Unfortunately, I probably wouldn't do it. But that opinion is getting closer to flipping every day.
That's a hypothetical, I guess. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Okay. Damn, there was one other thing you said. Well, I guess it just, to me, there's a very obvious steel man of Sam Hyde that's perfectly reasonable, which is, hey,
I know
we
the
can't
steel
just,
man. To be clear, you're not about to give a steel man. You're about to give a misinterpretation. But go ahead.
how do you, okay, how do you know, you said you're 100% sure that Sam Hyde is a neo-Nazi by your definition.
Yeah.
Has he admitted this, or has he pointed, or what is the evidence you have for this claim?
He has the two prongs of neo-Nazism like firmly embedded in everything that he says. He very clearly believes in an overarching but completely evidenceless control that Jewish people have over society, and he fully believes that they're utilizing the levers of control there to undermine what true Americans are. And then he does this like
what is he specific? So let's go to that first one. What does he
like-
specifically say about Jews controlling society? That Jews exercise a disproportionate amount of control for their population size? That's indisputable.
Do you think that's all that's being said?
Well, I don't. That's what I'm asking. Because if that's what's being, because a lot of people will say, yeah, there's a lot of Jews in media, and there's a lot of Jews that run significant institutions or whatever. It's like that's indisputably, verifiably true. The Holocaust museums don't deny that. They provide reasons for that.
Sure.
Jews were often.
What do you think I'm going to say to that? We can
occupations.
fast forward this whole thing too, right? What do you think I'm going to say to
What
that?
else?
What are you going to say?
What has he said? What has he said about it?
It's not that Jews have a disproportionate amount of power. It's that Jews exercise a disproportionate amount of power in the key areas of society to control finance and to control government and to control culture as a means to protect their in-group preferences and to undermine people that threaten them in the out-group. In this case, it's usually white people, and white people are defined as European ancestors. Yeah.
Okay, the second half we'll come back to, but the first half, certainly Jewish people, if they're in a position of power, and let's say they're Zionist, right, which is what 90% of Jewish Americans, something like that. It's like, okay, how is it not unreasonable to say that then, as we agreed, Jewish people who make up a disproportionately large proportion of the positions of power in finance and media, then use that influence to advance their political goals that they happen to have, which would be the in-group preference of
That's a very
Israel,
soft
which is an ethnic
restatement. It's a very, very, very soft restatement of what I just said, and it's stripping away a lot of the important parts because it's not just advancing their interests. It's advancing their interests to the detriment of white people.
That's why I just said let's come back to that second thing, because I actually would like to ask like a Nick Fuentes this question, but before we come back to that, certainly there is a softer, non-sinister way of pointing that out. Correct.
If you didn't have the sinister underlying ideology,
If it wasn't,
but he's a neo-Nazi, so he won't. That's not his feelings. But if you wanted to, you could say that Jewish people might have some preference towards things like Israel. Of course, everybody's going to advocate for their beliefs and the groups that they have in some way. But do they do that as part of some overlaid, like behind the scenes conspiracy? And do they do it to the detriment of the countries they're in, or to the other people that host them? Those are the neo-Nazi beliefs, right? Well,
okay, let's unpack those one at a time, because you could say. I don't believe that. For example, I absolutely believe, and I don't. It sounds like you don't even. I don't know how anyone would disagree with this, as we just said. Jewish people make up a disproportionate amount of positions of influence, and because they're 90% Zionist or whatever, that they then channel their influence in ways that are supportive of Zionism.
Sure.
It's like, okay, indisputable. Is that to the detriment of like the United States? I would say yes, only because I don't, for reasons that are very straightforward. Like, I don't want to get in Middle Eastern wars on behalf of Israel. If Israel and Iran get in a military exchange, or fucking Turkey and Israel, the United States has no business being there. And that's a completely
That might be your personal opinion, but that's a total non sequitur that has absolutely zero relationship to anything else that is being talked about right now, right? The United States could find that it's in the United States' interest to be involved in these things, right?
Well, sure. It depends on who in the United States we're talking about. But what percent? Sam Hyde. I don't know. Obviously, I don't fucking know Sam Hyde, and he could very well be a Nazi, and he says some crazy shit. So I don't happen to.
He doesn't say anything.
I haven't seen enough.
Yeah, sure. To be clear, he doesn't say anything crazy at all. He said everything. Like, you can show me a thing, and I can predict. I can tell you exactly what he'll say. He's very, very predictably like just repeating neo-Nazi talking points. So I'm talking to these people for a long time. It's all
okay. Well, he's also a comedian, so how much? It's like. Obviously, post-irony is problematic because it's like, well, am I being serious? Like,
no, it's not. And you don't believe that. Nobody believes that. When people are joking, when people are using humor, we all know what they mean, and we all know what they're saying. We know why it's funny. The idea that just because somebody makes a joke, that all of a sudden we have no idea what they mean.
Hallmark sign of autism is not being able to do that at all.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm assuming we're talking about people who have functioning brains, who don't have some kind of mental disability or ailment.
Whoa! Excuse me. Autism's a very powerful double-edged sword. Okay.
Okay.
I may or may not have it. I don't know. I asked my therapist point blank one time.
Sure.
And I don't remember.
I think for somebody like Sam Hyde, who is ironic, quote unquote, who also does like non-neo-Nazi stuff, it is possible to think that he's joking when he says some of the neo-Nazi stuff. That is possible. I would say that. I thought that for quite a while. But when you dive into like his podcast stuff or when you watch like his long-form stuff, it's very clear that he's a neo-Nazi.
Okay, fair enough. Here's what I'll say. I get in trouble for saying fair enough too often. Okay. I haven't seen enough of his stuff. I guess I wanted to bring up the Sam Hyde thing as an entryway into the broader conversation.
Sure.
So I haven't watched enough of Sam Hyde. I watched
Did
that
you
whole
watch
Elon.
Did you watch the like the hour video or whatever?
The Dear Elon one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was. I'd give it a B+ overall.
Okay. You didn't recognize that entire thing was like a love letter to neo-Nazism?
I don't believe it was a love letter to neo-Nazism.
Okay.
So that's why I didn't recognize it as
incredibly scary and disappointing, I guess, but that's where we are today. I don't think you could make something more blatant than that without like, it's just so, painfully obvious. Like we can watch sections of it if you want. We can go to any like 1 minute segment and just watch.
It's painfully, we may have, that actually might not be bad. You say it's painfully obvious.
Yes.
You understand there are just as many people who would say it's painfully obvious that, for example, you are a psychopath who delights in people's deaths, jokes about killing Palestinians, so on and so forth.
Okay.
So what am I to do with that?
I could link you 10 different debates I've had with crazy pro-Zionists where I've like adamantly argued the opposite position, like over and over again. I can say very clearly, like, oh, here's my stance. You can look at this right here.
Well, fair enough. I guess, okay, fair enough. Do you think, if Sam Hyde was clearly shitting on, for example, people who have as one of their political goals the deportation of black people from the United States, would that then be decent evidence that he's not?
Yeah, if I'd ever seen him argue against things that were clearly like not neo-Nazi in nature, then I'd be like, oh, okay, fuck, maybe I'm missing something, yeah. But all of his messaging is very consistently like neo-Nazi.
How much Sam Hyde have you watched?
A decent amount. I've spoken to the guy before. I think his content is really funny.
Okay.
Watched like a lot of his old stuff. Moms. I saw like the show on Adult Swim that he had. I thought a lot of that was funny before I knew he was a neo-Nazi. Okay. I think his thing with Ian with iDubbbz was really funny, but you know.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember that. I'll just be honest with you, I'm mildly suspicious of your, what would you say? The degree to which you're in a bubble. Because last time I asked you about the Make America Healthy Again movement, the MAHA thing, and you were like, no, it's irrelevant. I had barely heard about this. And I think that was a one of several, but certainly a major factor that played into Trump's victory.
Okay, I still don't think it was, but that's
okay,
fine.
fair enough. But this is my point. So I'm not
sure. Here, listen. If you want, let's do one time. We'll do this one time, okay? And I won't make you do it anymore because I don't want to get bogged down. Okay. I'm going to link you this. Just give me a random number from 1 to 46, and we'll go to any time period, and we can play until I hear something that's like a neo-Nazi.
I did a video where I cited one of them. The point about America is not just a set of ideas. America is a people. Like that idea on its face, I agree with.
That's fine, but that's meaningless. That's a pointless.
Well, no, it's not meaningless.
It is without greater specification, because somebody could mean the people of America is a diverse conglomerate of melting potted people that have come together to create a unique American culture, or it could mean America's people are the European white ancestry, the stock that came here that was great before.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't agree with that.
Sure.
Because obviously, black Americans have been here since the beginning, so they're as American as anyone else. The idea that, you know, like fucking Lamar Jackson is not an American is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Okay. Do you want to pick a timestamp, a random part here? We can just fast forward to it.
Well, let's go. We'll go to that part. I think it's at. I only know because I just did a video recently. It was like maybe like 9 minutes somewhere on there. He timestamps it, I think.
I'm just. Oh fuck!
America's
I have
not a people.
The Twitter thing. Hold on. YouTube Sam Hyde Elon video. Dear Elon. You said he timestamps it.
In the YouTube or?
So I'm looking at. Human beings are interchangeable economic units. Is that the one you want me to go to, or?
Yeah. Click on that one.
Okay.
Us.
Do you understand what's being said by that sentence? Human beings are interchangeable economic units.
Yeah, it's liberalism. It just assumes that cultural differences do not matter for the cohesiveness of a nation.
Close. Do you know what the There's a deeper thing here. This is a neo-Nazi dog whistle. So when you say human beings are,
I don't believe
that's fine that you don't. I'm just,
it could be, but
I'm never changing my mind on this. I already said, I know, but I'll just say for the audience, right? Human beings are interchangeable economic units. Is supposed to be a satire or an attack against the liberal position of, well, any person could step into society and just be, part of that society, because liberals are idiots and they treat people like interchangeable economic units. But the reality is things like culture, the phenotype of culture, is embedded in the DNA of every person, and the idea that a black or Indian person could step into American society and just become an American is ridiculous. That's what this
hold
is.
On. I like what you did about saving 30 minutes of stuff. I don't watch enough Sam Hyde, and he is too post-ironic for me to sit here and argue
nothing in this video is post-ironic, just to be clear, but okay.
Okay, fine. Sam Hyde we can use as a discussion for the broader ideas here, because I want to address the ideas. So Sam Hyde is for this conversation. Is that fair?
I guess. You said you did a video on this, though.
Well, I did a video referencing the idea, the point about America as a people versus just an abstract set of ideas.
Sure.
So that idea, Sam Hyde said it. Throw Sam Hyde away. Now let's just talk about the idea of America is a people, not a set of think there's validity to that.
It's so vague as to be meaningless. What does it mean?
I think that culture is sort of vague and amorphous, the concept of culture. But I think a nation, a national identity, is something real, if difficult to define, and it's based on shared customs, shared narratives, a somewhat shared history. People can assimilate, and that's one of the best things about America, and I think that's why I'm for immigration, is because we have this idea of assimilation. But assimilation requires that people sacrifice their previous national loyalties to then put God's true chosen country as number one.
Okay.
So that, to me, that's what's wrong with that?
I don't necessarily disagree. I don't know what we mean by sacrifice your prior countries. Well, I mean, obviously people don't like their prior countries, but this has nothing to do with what Sam Hyde says. But I think what you're saying is if you immigrate to the United States from a foreign country, I don't care where. My grandma was born on Ellis Island. I'm technically a third generation immigrant from Poland. So if you come from Poland, assimilating to this country means, and there's no way to enforce this, but in principle, assimilating to this country means when you vote, you're voting for things that are in America's interest instead of Poland's interest. Now, those often align, but if there was a case where they did not align, as an American, you would sacrifice your previous national loyalty and put the American interests ahead of that. Maybe. And I don't know if that's ever the expectation, but maybe. I guess it depends on how much in conflict you are, but yeah.
And I think what constitutes people of the same identity or the same culture? It's very vague. It's I talked to Stephen Wolfe. He's the author of The Case for Christian Nationalism, and he has ideas about ethnicity. And there's an American ethnicity, and it can be multiracial. There's different aspects to it. He's very right wing, as you might imagine. He's for blasphemy laws. But the reason I'm even sympathetic to the idea of Christian nationalism as a concept that is different from how it's used by most people, or most people who call themselves Christian nationalists, is I think actually immigration, specifically the United States, can work a lot because Mexicans are very Catholic. That's a very common cultural touch point.
Okay. And
so having a common cultural basis, which I would consider religion being one of those, is important for a cohesive national identity. Versus, let's say you have a lot of Muslims who believe in implementing Sharia law, or a bunch of Christians who believe in blasphemy laws. Well, then now we have a clash now that reduces the cohesiveness of our identity. And so the point about people not being economic units that can just be interchanged, it's if a bunch of
hold on, wait, stop. If you want to go to Sam Hyde stuff, then we're going to talk about Sam Hyde stuff. But I'm not going to let you swap in his stuff. Sam Hyde is a neo-Nazi. That's a neo-Nazi dog whistle. If you want to have your beliefs or ideas about how it works, that's fine. But you can't just swap in the neo-Nazi dog whistle afterwards and say, oh, look, you're not being charitable to his phrasing. You're just creating a whole cover argument for him that he would never make. He would never agree with you saying that a brown person can come in and just assimilate as easily as a white person if there was enough cultural touch points. He would never agree with that. And no neo-Nazi would. Correct. Yes. He never would.
You know, Sam Hyde's I have seen some of his stuff. Sam Hyde's a comedian. He hangs out with other comedians.
Okay.
And many of these comedians are black or Mexican or whatnot. You think Sam Hyde thinks that white people are superior as a race to blacks and Hispanics?
Nope. That's the super childish way of viewing it. And it's one of the easiest like neo-Nazi fight points because people will say that. They don't believe that somebody is superior or inferior to another person. They'll say they're different. Yes. Genetically. Yes.
Okay. I would say a Nazi. This is my point about, you know,
you keep saying Nazi. I'm saying neo-Nazi, but go ahead.
Okay. I would say that is an autistic differentiation that has, from a vibes perspective, makes no difference in anyone's life, whether you say Nazi. Whoa, I don't mean Nazi. I just mean neo-Nazi. It's
sure,
like,
I'm just being descriptively accurate.
If I'm at work and I go, whoa, I'm not a Nazi, everyone.
Okay.
I'm a neo. It's like, okay, but fine, whatever, fair enough. I mean,
I can stop using the word if it's bothering you. That's fine, sure.
Well, it's the reason I'm interested in discussing this is because it's like, I mean, I am genuinely curious as to how, because to me it's so obvious that the way that you talk about, like what with neo-Nazi or whatever, or even conservatives or whatnot, it's like it's so not effective at getting what I think your goals are in terms of, I don't know, political stability or something broadly. And I just don't understand that. So, but I agree. I'm not like, I don't think coming out here and debating you is going to change your mind. I guess, but I am interested in challenging it directly to hear how you say it. Like, because surely you understand.
There's a balance between like how accurate you have to be when calling something out versus like how do you talk about the particular thing to be appealing to another audience. I say it's like people, place, and policy. Like it depends on who you're talking to, where you're talking to them, and what you're talking about. Yeah. So like on my stream, obviously I'm going to address it a lot differently than if I was on their stream or somebody else's stream or talking to a different type of person. It just depends.
Okay, that's fair. I said it again. That's actually okay, because that might be an interesting difference between how we see it. Because when like, for example, if I'm on your stream or if I'm doing my own video or whatever, I assume it's all on the same plane. I assume it has the capacity to reach the same audience.
Okay.
But it sounds like when you're on your stream,
it's a lot different. I think if I like go to the Fresh and Fit studios, or if I go into a podcast with conservatives, then my demeanor there and how I interact and engage with it is going to be a lot different than on my stream for sure.
Why do you? That doesn't seem like that's correct, because, for example, you and Fresh and Fit are both on YouTube, and everyone who watches those videos in one click can then go watch a video on your stream. So why would you assume there's that much differentiation there where it would merit you speaking differently?
Because let's say that there's a person, let's say they have 100 positions and I disagree with 100 of them, right? If I go onto their show, I'm not going to fight on every single position. The audience is going to fucking hate me there. I want to have a good time. I want to appear funny and personable to the audience. So I might pick like 5 or 6 things that I disagree on, and I'll kind of like meme off or joke about the other stuff. But if I go there and I just fight on every point, then I just seem salty and angry, and I won't do that. But on my stream, this is my little community. This is my area to have the messaging be exactly what I would want it to be without having to try to like cater to anybody else. I'm going to be very clear, I think, in how I feel about things and try to be as accurate as possible describing things. There's a difference between accuracy and persuasion, I guess. If I'm on another platform, I'm trying to be more persuasive or amenable to the audience. On my stream, I'm probably going more for accuracy.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. That seems suboptimal given how much cross-pollination. Like I could, if I'm on TikTok and I see you on Fresh and Fit, I literally just go, Foom, and then there's a video of you on your stream. So if there's a disconnect in like how you're communicating, that seems suboptimal. Okay.
I think it's pretty normal for most people. You act different in different environments. If I see somebody on one show, they might be a lot more formal than when they're on their own show.
But is it okay? And I'm not. I guess I'm not trying to debate you. I'm trying to generally, because I obviously, as someone who has a YouTube channel, is interested in thinking about these things. Because the way I see it, it's like the online space. Nobody has just one interaction. Not nobody, but most people do not like watch one clip or one video of Destiny.
Yeah.
Most people who see your videos have seen other of your videos, or certainly videos of other people in the same space. So in my mind, it's all one giant hodgepodge, and
You don't think there's a different feeling between watching me on a podcast with people who are significantly politically different than me versus watching me just on my stream or talking to people that agree with me? You don't think there's like a different vibe or different audience expectation when you watch those interactions?
I mean, not really. Depends on what you mean by it. But like, when I talk to you or when I talk to Andrew Wilson, who are on utter opposites in maybe not every possible way, because you both are fucking assholes. It's like, I don't know. I'm not even saying that like you shouldn't change your message depending on who you talk to. You should change your message depending on who you're talking to some degree. Like the word, like even just down to the word, like liberal. Like to conservatives, liberal means left wing. But to progressives, it means the exact opposite. Liberal means neoliberal, means right wing.
Sure.
So in some sense, it's like, well, if I know I'm talking to mostly progressives, I'm going to use the word liberal. Which then, well, you said liberal here, but then you said, well, because I know they mean the opposite thing to different people.
Sure.
So like,
I won't use, like, if I'm talking to like right wingers or whatever, I'm not going to use the term feminism or like toxic masculinity. Like these are instant like brain shutdowns. Yeah.
I mean, fair enough, but I guess it's just interesting to me because it's like, you know full well that the same right wingers who you would go talk to on their podcast can then watch this conversation where you're saying, well, they're Nazis. Well, I don't mean, or sorry, neo-Nazis, not Nazis. And it's like, if you call me a neo-Nazi, I'm going to take it with the exact same connotation if you call me a Nazi. And if you say, well, but there's an important distinction there, I would say that's true to an autistic person, perhaps, and certainly you and me probably both fall into that category. But to the average person, I guess, which it depends on who you're trying to communicate to, like, because you are, I mean, my stuff can be sometimes pretty niche, so I accept that. Like, you know, I'll say something very autistic. But you have a giant platform. So do you view yourself as more mass media? Like you trying to appeal to someone who's never seen it come across your content before? Or is it more?
Yeah, but if I'm like the same exact kind of person I am right here, and I am that same person on No Jumper or on some far right area or some far left area, like I'm never, like nobody would ever listen to me. I would just come off as like hyper autistic and annoying and pedantic the whole time. So I'm probably, whatever I'm doing there, I'm just gonna make sure that I'm synergizing that community, that I'm like having a good time. It seems like I'm laughing, like I'm gonna fight on like a few things, but like I'll try to find areas of agreement. Like that's generally the goal for being persuasive.
You match
right?
the energy, you match the vibes, I guess. But yeah, well, I just like if you were on Piers Morgan, you probably wouldn't say all conservatives are artards, right?
I'm not think I might have. I think I'm calming down a bit now, but I'm not sure. But in general, you're right. Yeah, prior to the election, sure.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, I just genuinely don't know what to, like when you make, well, like when you talk. I mean, obviously you have your audience that follows you closely, but then there's the potential for, there's a lot of people who have only seen maybe a few videos of yours, but they're not regular fans. So it's like, oh, damn, Destiny says all this reasonable stuff that I've come across. And then I go over to his other stream and he's calling people neo-Nazis that I don't think are neo-Nazis or whatever. And then that turns people off. But
then you either watch me and you learn, but like my goal isn't to water my message down so much. And now it's also watered down on my main platform. Like I don't want a bunch of people following me who are in total ideological incongruence with what I believe, right? The goal is to bring them over to some extent. Yeah. So you see me in another show, you think I say something reasonable, you come to watch my stream. Hopefully some stuff challenges you. It would have to, because we're in different political camps. So yeah. And then whether you want to keep watching or not is up to you, I guess. Yeah.
Trying to think of an experience I had where I watched someone, liked them at first, and then watched more of their stuff and disliked them. But I can't really, nothing comes to mind immediately. I know the opposite one. Actually, Jordan Peterson, the first interview I saw of Jordan Peterson, he's a fucking curmudgeon grump. This is, you know, like a year before the Kathy Newman interview. I was like, this guy's pointless. And then I watched the Kathy Newman interview and I was like, oh, he's competent, ostensibly.
So
okay, well, that's fair. I don't want to, we don't have to get, I better understand sort of how you're seeing things. So I won't argue about semantics. But okay, on the ideas themselves, though. The statement. Well, we started with the Jews, but we'll go to the interchangeable economic units. People are not interchangeable economic widgets is an idea that I agree with.
Okay. It's a pointless statement. It's not profound. It doesn't express anything. You have to define all the terms, but we
shouldn't just let people who have the ability to work into our country. That's not the only criteria by which we should let people into the United States and give them citizenship.
Okay. Everybody agrees with that. I'm being a little bit pedantic, but obviously we check for things like criminal background, make sure you're not like having a communicable disease or whatever. Obviously, I assume we agree on that. Yeah.
Okay, well, do you think that you should have to be able to speak English to be an American?
I don't think I've been be ultra fluent or just enough to like pass the test or whatever.
I mean, enough. I would say enough that if a police officer pulled you over, you could communicate with him.
I'm like vaguely, I'm like 50-50 on it right now. Like I go back and forth. I could be persuaded either way. I feel like language is like fairly important. Yeah. At the very least to be able to communicate with people, maybe not be like ultra super, like not be a poet, but I feel like language is kind of important. But I feel like people in the US, we don't have an official language in the US, but people seem to do well. And it seems like it's been going fine without it being an official language. So I don't know. Okay. Maybe it doesn't matter to change that. Yeah.
Okay. So if someone put forward a law that says in order to be, or if we're going to reform our immigration law, that you have to be able to speak not fluent but basic English, that's a reasonable thing to propose, right?
Maybe, I don't know. I would have to see a lot. Like, what are the motivations for the law? What are you trying to curb? Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. Do you want to go back to Jews?
I'll go wherever you want.
What do you think of the meme Zog?
What is that? Is that Zionist opposition government or something? Or Zionist occupied government?
Zionist. Oh, you don't know? Fuck, I've overestimated how popular.
I think that's the Zionist occupied government, right?
Zionist occupied government.
Yeah. What about it? That's the idea that the Jews control the U.S. government, right?
Do you think there is no difference between I'm not asking you what do most people mean by this, but do you think that there is, just on the face of it, a reasonable or important distinction between Jew and Zionist?
I mean, it depends on what kind of Zionist they are, I guess, right?
Like, for example, Christian Zionists, the people who the evangelicals who say, well, Jews are God's chosen people, and this is a biblical decision for me to support Israel. I'm solely doing it on whatever it is. Exodus 7:5 or whatever it is. I will bless those who bless you. That's literally the religious justification that Christians have for supporting Israel, like as politicians when it comes to making foreign policy decisions. So those people are Zionists.
Okay.
That is utterly and categorically different from, for example, Norman Finkelstein or Gabor Mate or Dave Smith.
Okay.
And so I would say that it's very, in my mind, if you're worried about anti-Semitism, which I think is perfectly reasonable to worry about, especially nowadays, you want to normalize that distinction between Jew and Zionist and not just say, well, anyone who says...
The problem is we have to define what Zionist means. That's the first huge hurdle that we have to do here.
Someone who, yeah, fair enough. I mean, I would say someone who's broadly in support of Israel as a ethno-state.
Okay.
Like Yishai Fleischer, the guy who destroyed you over and over again in Israel.
Okay.
He says
so under that definition, so I think a lot of people would probably be Zionist. I would be a Zionist under that definition for sure.
Yeah, okay. I'm not saying Zionism is evil in and of itself. It's an ideology, but it's different from being a Jew.
Sure. Although this encapsulates almost like 90% of Jews, but there is a distinction, sure.
You seem hesitant to acknowledge it.
Hesitant to acknowledge it. That I just said it, that they're probably like 90% of Jews are, yeah. The thing is, anytime you've developed like a category of thing that encompasses almost the entirety of a group, that becomes like highly suspect. But I mean, like there is a distinction between Zionist and Jew.
Yeah, sure. It's like, what percent of black people vote Democrat? It's like 90.
Is it really that high?
I mean, Trump got the most votes of most black votes of it. It wasn't that high. So it's probably like 90%, isn't it?
Okay.
It's probably as many black people who are Democrat as there are Jews who are Zionists, but clearly there's an important distinction between Democrat and black person. Mm-hmm. So my point is, yes, and obviously there's a ton of... Zog is used by anti-Semites, no doubt. Like people who hate Jews on the basis of their race and not their ideology or anything like that.
Sure. Zog is almost exclusively like an anti-Semitic term, though.
Well, no, I don't think so.
I have never in my life heard somebody who's not anti.
Oh, dude, I talk about Zog all the time.
Okay, you're just using Nazi dog whistles without realizing it then. But I've never heard like a real life person use Zog and not just be a Nazi. Like I use Zog when I'm like memeing as like a Nazi. Like that's like a
well, you know how Sam Hyde he dog whistles. He says things that sound like they're not anti-Semitic, but really he is anti-Semitic.
Okay.
do the reverse. Say things that sound anti-Semitic, but you're really not anti-Semitic.
Okay, sure. But I mean, like, it
Use
sounds
that as an
anti-Semitic, but
embedded
because I think Zog is literally, I think that's like a term that people just like invented to imply that Jews basically control the U.S. government,
well, first
right?
I'm going to do a video on it, on Zog, the most dangerous meme in the world. I mean, broadly, like, there's 100 different ways to go with it, but first off, my broader ideology is I think the best way to oppose really anyone. The best way to oppose anyone who you disagree with on any ideological or moral grounds is to rob them of their best talking points. And Zog is a meme. First off, I see Zog popping up in more than one space. It's not just Nick Fuentes type people. And by the way, 2 years ago, anyone who would have, for example, even brought up the USS Liberty, I'd be like, dude, that's what the USS Liberty, Nazi talking point.
It is.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Have you seen Jocko Willink talk to the USS Liberty survivors? Do you know who Jocko Willink is?
Yep.
The big bald guy?
I do.
Is he a Nazi?
No, but it's a neo-Nazi talking point, almost exclusively.
That doesn't mean anything. So when you say when you say X is a talking point, that is an utterly meaningless statement.
It's not meaningless. The reason why it's not meaningless is because if neo-Nazis are able to, on the backs of people like you or Jocko Will, I don't know if that Jocko guy is a neo-Nazi. I haven't watched enough of his content. He might be. Okay, but when people are able to make these like dog whistles and they were able to get them pervasive in society, and all of them have shoddy factual foundation at best, which anything relating to the USS Liberty is almost completely fabricated by the likes of Candace Owens or the weird survivor groups or whatever Jocko dipshit, because every ex-special forces person is apparently fucking insane in the United States. Then what you do is when a neo-Nazi is making a stronger argument, you can go like, oh, well, that's true. The USS Liberty stuff is true. And the Zog stuff is true. And the amount of Jewish people that are Zionists is true and is true and is true. And then eventually you've got like, oh shit, maybe neo-Nazis weren't completely wrong. Maybe Chamberlain or Churchill or whatever, maybe he was the bad guy in World War II. And, maybe the Nazi party wasn't actually as bad as everybody said. Like this is like the point, is normalizing this stuff. Yeah. You think that you're robbing them of their talking points when in reality, they're just using you to spread their talking points.
No. That's a danger, but you have no way of knowing who's winning that.
Well, right now, it's very obvious that the far right, like quasi-Nazi people seem to be winning that.
What seems obvious to you is not what is necessarily reality.
Okay.
I guess the mirror image is with communists. It's like late stage capitalism, you're against wealth inequality. You know who else was against wealth inequality? Joseph Stalin. Therefore, people who talk about wealth inequality, that's a communist talking point. Like, okay, pointless, who cares? Doesn't matter. Well, but it could be the case that communists are using the talking point of wealth inequality to further communist goals. It's like, okay, could be. Or it could be the case that wealth inequality is a valid concern.
It can be a valid concern, but you have to be aware of it. But you need to be aware of it. You need to contextualize. You need to understand what's happening when you talk about it.
And I would say Israel's influence over the degree that Israel has influence over U.S. foreign policy is a concern, and it's a valid concern.
In what regards? Like where?
In the regard of why are my tax dollars going to fund a government that does not do anything to stop the subtler movement, which is the single most antagonizing action that is occurring in the Middle East.
So I don't know if
it could be stopped.
I don't know necessarily if that's the single most antagonizing action in the Middle East. Israel historically has been a really important ally geopolitically and geostrategically to the United States. So that's probably why we support them, right? Yeah.
Israel, to the degree, here's my simple political position on Israel. So long as the Israeli government allows Jewish settlers to settle land, they are at odds with the interests of the United States, because the settling of land is, forget the illegality of it, whatever, it's the single most obvious thing that prevents the normalization of relationships between Israel and its neighbors. So the fact that Israel is just letting it happen and we just continue to send them aid, we don't condition it on anything. I think Obama tried doing it 10, 12, whatever, a decade or two ago. It's like, didn't happen. And so I am upset at the degree to which all of my politicians, especially a good chunk of them who literally just vote to give Israel aid solely because they cite a Bible verse that told them to, because there's 30 million Christian evangelical Zionists, giving a country aid that is engaging in the most obviously stupid fucking act, which is settling land that isn't theirs, that pisses off all of their neighbors, which prevents normalization and prevents stability and peace in Israel.
Sure. I mean, it's not good.
That's why I use the
agree with
term.
that. That's fine.
That's why I use the term Zog.
Okay, that's the worst connection ever. But I mean, like,
I disagree.
Israel, the settling stuff is really bad. I agree, but I mean, we can't exert 100% control over people that we are aligned with, for better or for worse.
They're not entitled to any of my tax dollars. I'm not asking us to exert 100%.
No one says they're entitled to your tax dollars, but that's why the United States supports them. We also support people like Egypt as well.
Okay, fuck that.
Okay, that's fine. We can just stop supporting everybody. That's great if you want to have like a 4-year-old's view of foreign policy. But unfortunately, what is we have to work with countries and we don't always agree with them 100%. But yeah, what?
No. I'm very specific. Here's this is what Donald Trump should do. Day one, calls up Bibi. Says, Bibi, not a single. You have 30 days to remove every single settler from the West Bank, from Gaza. You can arrest all these people who are trying to resettle Gush Katif and all this shit. You have 30 days, or we're turning off all of the code in your F-16s, and we're stopping any shipments being sent.
Sure, but then there's a chance that Israel says, okay, well, we're not going to be your friend anymore. And they say, fuck you. And then they,
okay, and then what happens?
Then we have no more influence that we can exert over Israel.
Okay, and then what happens?
Israel would look for other partners either in the region, so maybe they would look more favorably upon people like Iran, or they would maybe look internationally to people like China
Say that again?
or Russia.
Who? Israel would look favorably upon who?
Maybe they would try to work with Iran or something. I don't know.
Iran, the nation that says death to Israel.
Sure.
Repeatedly.
Okay.
Actually, well then maybe.
You understand, just real quick, you're laughing because you just are totally ignorant of all the history, right? No, I didn't misspoke. I didn't misspeak. You just don't know any of the history. That's fine. So Israel had wars of extinction against it multiple times by every single surrounding Arab state, right? Nasser, who was trying to build the equivalent of like the new Ottoman Empire, okay, a lot of his reputation was literally staked out on the destruction of all of Israel. Prior to the Six-Day War, prior to Yom Kippur under Sadat, like Egypt, their bulwark against like the West was literally trying to destroy Israel as a country. And Egypt was the very first country that Israel signed peace with. And then they made peace with Jordan, who have a majority of their citizens as Palestinians. And then they are on warm relations with people like Saudi Arabia. It sounds impossible to you, but it's not. People will place like geostrategic interests very, very high up. And if they think there's an interest to be pursued there, then they will aggressively pursue it.
So you're saying if we cut off aid to Israel entirely, Israel could then start to align themselves more with Iran?
Potentially. I don't know what would happen 100%, but potentially.
What a wonderful thing. What could bring more peace to the Middle East than that?
Why would that bring peace to the Middle East?
Why does Iran hate America and Israel?
Well, probably for a complicated confluence of reasons, probably related to economics, probably related to oil and energy markets, probably related a bit to history, probably related a bit to religion. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say Israel aligns itself with Iran. Is Israel and Iran now going to go after America?
No, they're going to go after Saudi Arabia, and they're going to go after Jordan, and they're going to go after all the Gulf states. They're going to go after the UAE and Oman, and they're going to shore up everything in Yemen. They're like, do you think they're all just going to be peaceful? Wait. You think that if the U.S. left Israel, do you think everybody in the region all of a sudden loves each other?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Tell me. No. And again, I'm tying it to this very specific thing, and this is my point. Because first off, we can speculate about what would happen hypothetically in the most complex region in the history of the world, till the cows come home. But let's just take this on principle. What you're saying is the U.S. relationship with Israel is so important that there's literally nothing Israel can do that would justify cutting off aid to Israel. Is that what you're saying?
Do you think that's what I'm saying?
No.
Okay. I don't know why you said that.
Sorry, it's a rhetorical. Okay, it's a fucking.
It wasn't rhetorical. It was a waste of time.
I watched a lot of Destiny.
Sure, you're going to say like, oh, is there anything to do? And I can say, and then my thing is going to be like, oh, well, what if they were raping every single Palestinian?
Right, so
do you
all
think
of
I would
those
agree with that? And you say, well, no, probably not. So then what I would say, and where we would both wind up, is we would go, okay, so there's probably something Israel could do that would cause us to break relations with them, which is true. It just comes down to figuring out like what that point is. I think the settler issue is a huge issue. It's also an incredibly complex issue. Is it worth it to be allied with Israel given the complexity and the irritation of how they treat the Palestinians? I think we could exert more influence on them. I don't disagree with that. I think Bush might have been the last one. I don't even know if Obama did. Maybe he tried to a little bit.
I think Obama tried to tie.
Yeah, I don't think he did fuck all with it, though. I think Bush was actually sanctioning some settlers in the West Bank.
Yeah, and I would say the reason that we don't do that is because Zog.
Okay.
I don't think no informed, reasonable person would dispute the claim that Israel exercises a significant and disproportionately large degree of influence over U.S. foreign policy.
Okay, I totally don't think that's necessarily the case, but okay.
You don't think that's true?
Not really, no. But
one of the okay, well, yeah, fair enough. I mean, God,
like Israel represents the region.
It's a problem.
But I mean, like, we also have huge interests with Saudi Arabia. The fact that Israel and Saudi Arabia are now working together is something that we really like. It represents a strong interest to us in opposition to people like Assad, who is now gone, to Iran.
Sure.
Yeah, that's an opposition with Russia and Iran, or I'm sorry, with Russia and China. This idea that it's just Israel controlling us is not true. It's the United States saw Israel as a partner.
It's not just Israel, but because 30 million Christian Zionists are not Israel.
I don't think it was 30 million Christian Zionists were the reason why we supported Israel. I think initially the story was relatively inspiring, and then eventually they represented like a good partner to have in that region of the world because we were in opposition to other stuff going on there. It's why we supported the Mujahideen and the Afghan Civil War. It's why we tried to, in the Afghanistan War, it's why we tried to support the British petroleum companies in fucking Iran before the Shah and all the shit that happened with the Iranian Revolution. Like, we have a lot of interest in that region. And conveniently, they tie back to Israel, and we can help Israel because they can help us kind of in helping like those interests. But it wasn't like one day Israel was like, America, come to the Middle East. Like, no, there were a lot of legitimate interests in that region, and Israel's a really strong partner there. Do you acknowledge that we had a lot of interest in that region? Okay, thank you. Okay,
sure, yeah.
Okay,
the
gotcha.
Suez Canal being a significant one.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's many, and I'm incredibly ignorant on this issue. But what I do know as a voting citizen in this godforsaken democracy we call America, that I do not want to vote or support any politician, one of my political issues is I would like someone to say, we're cutting off aid to Israel if they do not take action to stop the settler movement.
Okay, that can be your position.
Biggest thing. Yeah, and I use the meme Zog to refer to that.
Okay.
Now you say, but Paul, that puts you at risk of furthering anti-Semitic talking points. True, conceptually. I would say talk about late stage capitalism, which is also a great meme that I use, puts me at risk of furthering communist talking points. But as you rightfully, in principle, worry about someone like Sam Hyde, who uses non-anti-Semitic terms when he's really anti-Semitic, and that's an effective way of furthering anti-Semitism.
Just as a quick thing, like Zog
you can do the total reverse.
Yeah, so Zog is way more down the road than late stage capitalism is, but I mean, principally, I understand what you're saying.
Not really.
It's absolutely
okay. The word Zionist occupied government means that, hey, almost all of our politicians are overwhelmingly influenced by Zion, or call themselves Zionists, or are
Zog
heavily influenced by
doesn't even
Zionists.
imply. Zog explicitly states that
Zog is a three-letter
Zog. Yes,
acronym.
the ideology, the concept of Zog explicitly states that Israel is controlling America to the detriment of Americans. That's what Zog means.
I believe that Israel is influencing U.S. foreign policy in a way that is against American interests. Then, and you just, hold on, you just said Zog, the ideology behind it means this. It's like, I'm aware that anti-Semites use that. That's what I just said. I'm going to co-opt their memes, because Zog is, unfortunately, for better or worse, a good meme just from a purely mimetic perspective in terms of how easy it is to transmiss across people. I have friends who are very left-wing, some of the most progressive people, who obviously, well, this is the other thing too. It's like it's not just like a right or left thing anymore, which is part of the problem.
Of course, yeah.
So the sentiment against Israel is only going to grow over time.
Probably, yeah.
Whether or not you and I use the term Zog.
I agree.
So we have two options. Either we use just pure rational argumentation and say, well, hold on. We can agree that Israel may exercise an unhealthy amount of influence the number one donor to Donald Trump giving him $100 million, Miriam Adelson, and then coming into his office every other week, according to him, saying all this shit about, well, now I need to go on Heights. It's like, okay, that's a problem. We can agree that's a problem. If Russia had the degree of influence, or any other country had, or Saudi Arabia.
To be clear, Russia has far more influence in this country than Israel does, but go ahead.
We disagree on that. And
okay, you would just be absolutely and completely and totally factually incorrect. But
Destiny, I think you are absolutely and totally factually incorrect about that claim, and you have no evidence to support that.
I do. I would point to something like the Mueller indictments that show that Russians operate fictitious companies in the United States, and that they are so pervasive that they will literally stage both ends of demonstrations. I will point to the fact that some of our election outcomes might have been influenced by the fact that the Podesta email hack was done at the behest of the hacker Guccifer 2.0, who was literally a fucking Kremlin operative. I would point to the fact that people within Trump's own campaign, Trump, the president of the United States, was working alongside Guccifer 2.0 as alleged in indictments and convictions, but he didn't even testify. That was Roger Stone. I would point to the fact that other people that worked in his 2016 campaign, like Paul Manafort, were working with pro-Russian candidates and getting paid under the table. I believe it was Manafort, and I think it wasn't Yanukovych. It was it might have been Yanukovych. That these were things that he was convicted for, and Trump pardoned him for. I would point to.
That's good. 4 is good.
Okay. Yeah.
Now do the same thing with Israel. Go do the exact same, list off all the facts, steel manning why Israel might exercise a disproportionate control over Israel.
I mean, like, I could steel man it, but I have no interest in doing that, especially when we're like in neo-Nazi talking grounds. But the reality is Israel's PR campaign fucking sucks. Israel is a really shit job. They do a really shit job at communicating their mission to the rest of the world. I think that the United States is in an awkward spot, or at least the Biden administration was, where they probably want to pull the reins back a little bit more. But the reality is a lot of Americans, older Americans, support Israel. Now, if that's because of the Jewish brainwashing or whatever, that's fine. But the reality is a lot of older Americans definitely strongly support Israel. So your hands are kind of tied there. But other than that, I mean, like,
a lot of them are evangelical Christian Zionists.
Okay. You don't think that? You don't think that any of the? You don't think that the story of Israel, or the idea of like a singular democratic country in the Middle East or whatever, that wasn't like an inspiring story for post World War II Cold War Americans?
Of course,
okay.
It has archetypal draw to it. So
Sure.
so did Nazi Germany and Communist Russia and the American West. Every story conceptually has like, well, wouldn't it be nice if a strong man came and remade the German people great again?
So I think that was a bigger reason why we started to support Israel in the 70s, and why so many old people have favorable views of it, more than any religious reason. Yeah.
I don't even. Well, I would say those. Well. No, I would say the religious reason is underpinning all of that, or most of it.
Okay. I think the Cold War was about democracy versus communism. Israel was a sole democratic state in the Middle East. Inspiring story. We ended up supporting them.
Interesting. I think a lot of Republicans were against communism because it was atheist, and they viewed America as the Christian West.
That was
to go back and review
part of it, but I don't think it was just a religious war.
Enough.
Okay.
Fair enough. I'm not saying that I'm correct in that me leaning into memes that are traditionally used by reprehensible people is definitely or logically the best option. Okay. I think it is. I'm betting my money that way, and I'm going to continue to do that, and only time will tell, because we have to make decisions.
Sure.
You could, because I don't think that. This goes back to our last conversation and some of what I asked you now. If you're trying to convince large numbers of people, rational argumentation is necessary for some of them and some of the time, but a lot of it is memes and intuitions. And I have to make this case better, and I won't do it now, and I'll do it in a video, but there are just technical reasons why ZOG, a 3-letter acronym, it sounds like...
I'm not disagreeing with any of the broad points you said. This is a particular example, especially when you aren't even aware that Sam Hyde, who is the most openly obvious neo-Nazi in the world, isn't a neo-Nazi. I'm only taking issue with this particular example, but I don't disagree with you necessarily, broadly speaking.
Okay.
You talked about units of exchange, right? That economic units of exchange?
I said I agree with the statement that people are not interchangeable economic widgets.
Sure. Wait, give me 10 seconds. Hold on.
Okay.
The problem go away instantly if that worked. If you could just wave your hand and say that an American is a Guatemalan who was born here, that's an American. We wouldn't have to have this painful conversation.
Much less contentious.
Okay. So let's just go to 3550 and listen. I don't want you to see if you can break down what you think he's saying here. I'm just curious.
Okay, is there a way for me to hear it when you play it, or?
No, we're just
Just
gonna play it at the
send me the link and I'll
same
listen.
time. Yeah,
Okay.
do that.
Okay, I'm playing in 3, 2.
Wait.
Okay. I'm on 3018.
3018.
Yeah.
Go to 35.
3550.
Yeah, 35.
Here, if an American
Oh wait, go to 3544. Fuck it. And set it to times 1, and we'll just listen to what he says.
Okay, tell me when to play it.
Yeah, I'm at 35. Wait, what did I say?
44.
Yeah, 35, 44. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
to Mars. This isn't fixed by moving the goalposts of what an American is. It would be a lot easier if an American was just an Indian with an Ivy League degree. It would make this whole problem go away instantly if that worked. If you could just wave your hand and say that an American is a Guatemalan who was born here, that's an American. We wouldn't have to have this painful conversation. It would be so easy if you could do that, if it were a computer simulation. That's Marvel movie shit. An American is whoever Doctor Strange brings through the portal to beat Thanos. The new Spider-Man is an American. It's a lesbian from Sri Lanka who just came here to start up a cupcake business. But she listens to Cold Wave. And she just came here to start up her hair dye business. She's an American. She's here for the American dream. That's not reality. That's math, that's Marxism, that's computer programmer, simulation, bullshit. We
Okay.
all know.
Pause. Okay. So what do you think he's saying
Marxism
there?
bullshit. That there is more to American identity than just economic a desire to participate in an economic system.
Like what else?
What else? What else?
He's making
what else
fun
is there
of
to be?
the position that you're trying to give. He's satirizing people like you. That, oh, she comes
Yeah,
here because
that's
she
why I
listens.
gave it a B plus. I
she
didn't give
comes
it
here.
an A plus.
You
He also
gave-
talks about how
No.
I gave it a B plus.
When
for
she says,
specific-
yeah, you're saying you gave a B plus to a neo-Nazi speech, okay? But you're not understanding what he's saying. It's
I'm
having
giving
to
a
ask
B
him
plus to
too.
what you call a neo-Nazi
When
speech,
he's saying
but,
that, like,
people are accusing me of talking to a racist anti-Palestinian, but I don't care what they have to say about that.
do you think there's no factual basis by which we can differentiate? Is this all just like subjective, like whatever somebody says? Like, do you think I can't justify that? We can listen to more if you want.
No,
but like,
but you're asking me to assume. You're asking me to know, especially someone who is very post-ironic. That's their whole thing.
what
You're
this?
asking me to
Okay,
tell-
he said just because somebody comes here and listens to Cold Wave and wants to chase the American dream doesn't make them
Yeah.
an American. What does that mean? He's making fun of the fact that you think just because they adopt some aspect of our culture, they're American. That's what he's making fun of.
Yeah, in like some superficial sense or something.
What's more? So the American dream and music that's superficial.
Well, hold on. The American dream is you come here, you work, you achieve, going from like low class to middle class to upper middle class or whatever. And it's American dream is an economic thing, which is fine, and that's part of it. And I'm not anti that. And I would agree that this is.
Hold on.
Him
Wait,
being against
hold on.
H-1Bs
Just to
and
be
all that is
super
wrong.
clear, the American dream is not just an economic thing. It's supposed
I just
to
said
be.
yes.
What? No. You just said it's just an economic thing. Did I misunderstand you?
It's when people talk about the American dream, it's going from nothing. Like I come here with nothing, I end up as part of the middle class, and I'm
Kind of, but no. It's the idea that through merit, through your own hard work, and through the freedoms that are liberal, not like in a left-leaning sense, but that liberalism and the Constitution enables you, that you have the ability to pursue a life that you think is worth living, and that you can be the best version of yourself. It's not just
Right.
an economic thing.
Yes.
That's an incredibly naive. Right.
I didn't say it was just, but I would say okay, whatever, fine.
Okay, yeah,
I
okay.
agree with your framing. Sure.
Okay, cool. Okay, but so
if
he
you're
said that like a Guatemalan born here, an Indian, okay, that listens to Cold Wave and has the American dream and opens a shop.
I don't know what cold wave is. Is that? Am I supposed to know what that is?
I don't know. Maybe he meant to say Coldplay. I don't know. But like, I'm curious. At any point in here, does he ever say that like an Irishman or an Italian can't be an American, or is it always brown people that he's listing off? Like, where does he say what an American is in here?
I don't think he does. He doesn't define it. It's part of. I don't think it can be defined very easily. I think okay. First off, I don't agree with that. You just said he's mocking the position that I said I agree with earlier about letting people in.
Yeah, because you think it has to do with culture. He's not. He's talking about genotype. Genetically, there's something different about the stock of white American ancestry that comes here versus these weird Guatemalans or brown people.
So you're asking me to. Okay. I don't know him. Certainly that's a possibility. Obviously, I can't deny that that's a possibility. You say it's likely. I would say, okay, well.
Oh, no, to be clear, I'm not saying it's likely. I'm saying it's foregone in here. It's obvious. This is what he's talking about. There's no room in here to think about it yet.
Okay, well, obvious means different things to different people, apparently. Like, if you were to ask me, hey, who do you think Sam Hyde hates more? You or a conservative Guatemalan? Probably you.
Yes, but only because I'd be empowering conservative Guatemalans to come here.
And people like you, and people, well, or no, just, I'm talking like white, or like just the example of, white, uber progressive, college kid from rich parents. Like,
no, the hatred would be, it depends on what kind of hatred you're talking about. But if he hates me, it's just because he sees me as a tool of the Zog to bring in more brown people, to eliminate white people.
Okay, this is can we have a side? Okay, before we forget, because I want to ask, this is a better question for actual, like, I got to figure out a better term, because you use Nazi too much. So
you can't. I understand that you have. You have a revulsion. No. You have a revulsion because you think it's like epic and base to be like a centrist, and it's inhibited your ability to actually evaluate.
No, radical.
It's not. It's retarded. You've lost the ability to perceive the world because it is so desperate for this pursuit of the middle that you can't even see what it is you're talking about. Somebody comes up to you and they say, "I want to rape 10 people," and the other guy's like, "I think we should rape 0 people," and you go, "Actually, raping 5 people is the most base position. I think that would actually satisfy both sides. It's not a straw man. I gave you 2 big prongs.
I believe that?
Yes, I think you would say that. I think that if Trump came out and said he wants to pass a law raping 10 people and liberals said probably 0 people, you would say, I think 5 is probably the right answer. Correct. Yes.
Okay. Irony. Hard to tell. You almost sound serious right there. I almost believe that you think that I would genuinely support a law.
You would.
That says rape 5 people instead of 10.
I think so. Yes. Based on everything you've told me, I think you would. Yeah. Now we're not there yet, but I think we got to the point. Yes, I think you would.
Post irony.
Okay.
Okay, all right, hold on. All right, hold on. If you believe that, why are you even... Okay, I'll just be honest with you. I don't believe that you believe that.
Okay.
Why would you even give me time? Why would you even be willing to have a conversation then if you thought I was that level of comic book evil?
Ooh, I should talk to people I disagree with, and you're fun to chat with.
That I believe.
If you, what time in the video were you at? 36:47?
36:48. It just ended.
Okay, let's just play for like another 20 seconds, okay? I'll tell you when to stop. 3, 2, 1, go.
What an American is. And all these paragraph-long definitions and high-minded ideas, it's just propaganda. We know what an American is. And if you're not here to help the American people, then your usefulness to us is over with. The right wing, Republicans, conservatives.
Okay, pause, I guess.
Pause there? Yeah.
So you understand he's making fun of you. Paragraph-long ideas, high-minded ideas. This is what you're saying an American is. He doesn't agree with that. It's
B+. Fuck Sam Hyde. B+. He also talked about how the Groypers shouldn't have been banned when a lot of them were posting like weird shit having to do with.
It's not relevant at all what we're talking about. Don't pivot. He's telling you explicitly that all what you're saying about high-minded ideas, paragraph-long stuff, that's bullshit. We know what an American is. It's a white European. That's what an American is. Do you disagree that that's what he's saying explicitly here?
Well, okay. First off, he's definitely not saying explicitly. Because he didn't say.
Okay, here, wait. Tell me which one of these things is good. Okay, he said that a Guatemalan born in America equals not American. He said Indian immigrant pursuing American dream, opening a shop equals not American. He said that paragraph, long ideas.
Long, high-minded ideas.
He said long, high-minded ideas. These are not American, right? He said all these things are not American, right?
Sure. And you're saying, so therefore he means that you have to be white to be an American?
Okay, what else do you think it could mean?
Black people. Black people who have been here just as long as white people, if not longer than most white people. You think he doesn't think that fucking Kobe Bryant was an American? You don't think he thinks that, I don't think Jay-Z's been accused of anything terrible. You don't think he thinks Kanye is an American? I bet Sam Hyde thinks Kanye is the most American man around.
I'm curious. Let's just go here. I don't even know. I just control F and I saw black. Let's see what he says here. Okay, 1352. Go to that timestamp and then we'll just listen. I don't even know. This is my name is by point. Who knows? We'll just listen to what he says.
Okay. 1349, 52, 3, 2, 1.
Wait. You're at 1352, right?
Sorry. Yeah, 1352.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Towards Hispanics, okay? But that's why the room that I'm sitting in is covered in dust, is because the general contractor I hired used Hispanic labor. I didn't know. They laid down masonry cement. When I said I wanted polished concrete floors, masonry cement, you can't polish it. They left board marks and footprints in it. And I had to pay another crew of black people, okay, shout out to Greg, to come in here with jackhammers and get this shit dumpstered out of here. I went and hired my own blacks. I went in the ghetto and hired them by hand. That's how you need to hire blacks for SpaceX. And what you get is you get lower quality construction. You get lower wages for the blue collar workers who are here and fighting. You realize that people are fucking up against the wall fighting to make ends meet? Do you understand that the American people are on the ropes right now? Your people are not the world, okay? It's the American people. That's where this shit is popping off.
Okay,
That's
pause.
where you came.
So to be clear, he listed two groups of people who thought, he said they did shit jobs. He said it was Hispanic people and black people. He didn't say that they were especially bad at their jobs. He just said that they were Hispanic people and black people. Okay. Then he said that that's what you get when you hire these kinds of people. You get lower quality construction. And then he said you get lower wages for blue collar workers. The American people are up against the wall. American people are on the ropes. But that doesn't include the Hispanic and black people that he's talking about? You understand?
Can we set a 10-minute timer on this?
On what?
On
this topic?
On forcing me to defend Sam Hyde, who I do not.
You don't have to defend Sam Hyde. I'm just showing you, it's like very clearly and obviously overtly neo-Nazi stuff. Like, it's like there's no other interpretation here. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. There's no other interpretation. Well, then how?
Like, what else did he mean? When he says American people, in contrast to Hispanic and black people, what's he saying?
I want to say this.
Okay.
I also enjoy talking to you because you say like 5 different things, and all of them are good conversation points to go down.
Okay.
And
let's just focus on this one conversation point. Yeah. What else could he mean when he says?
He said, hold on. I think he said a bunch of Hispanics did it, or what did he say, Guatemalans or something?
He said Hispanics?
He said Hispanics did it, and then he had to get a bunch of black people, shout out to Greg, to come in and fix it.
Uh-huh.
And then he said, these people do a bad job, referring back to the Hispanics, not the black people.
Do you really think so?
Watch it again. That's exactly how I interpret
it. Okay, let's go back to 13. Let's go back to 1350. 1350. Okay, it's because it's timestamped in the description. We'll listen to it, okay?
Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Wait. Fuck, hold on. Wait, it's not loading for me. Hold on.
Weekly.
Sorry, okay, wait. Fuck, okay, you got 1350, right?
1354, but yeah, go ahead.
Wait.
No hate towards Hispanics, okay?
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
But that's why the room that I'm sitting in is covered in dust, is because the general contractor I hired used Hispanic labor. I didn't know. They laid down masonry cement. When I said I wanted polished concrete floors, masonry cement, you can't polish it. They left board marks and footprints in it. And I had to pay another crew of black people, okay, shout out to Greg, to come in here with jackhammers and get this shit dumpstered out of here. I went and hired my own blacks. I went in the ghetto and hired them by hand. That's how you need to hire blacks for SpaceX. And what you get is you get lower quality construction. You get lower wages for the blue collar workers who are
wait, just keep on,
fighting.
keep listening.
You realize that people are fucking up against the wall.
Wait, hold on. What timestamp are you at?
1441.
Wait, okay. All right. Okay. Well, let's assume he might have been referring back to the Hispanics here.
I think he was.
You sure?
That's what was a cut there.
But let's assume he was. Why? Why is Hispanic necessarily lower quality labor?
Because he's saying racist jokes, and kind of being post-ironic about it. It's like, hold on. It's like Dave Chappelle talking about shooting heroin addicted whites. Am I offended by that? Because there actually are a bunch of fucking heroin addicted whites out there. To be clear,
can you just say this for me so we can just? So Sam Hyde can literally say anything in here, and you will defend it as a joke, right?
No. Oh my,
Just
okay,
say that.
see,
Just say that. Just
this
say
is my
that.
point.
The next sentence could Sam Hyde could say all kikes should be killed in the United States. You go, well, he's obviously joking. That's it, right? There's never been a more blatant, obvious like neo-Nazi speech than this video. It's so obvious. And if you're just going to defend it as jokes, then just say that, and then we don't ever have to waste time ever talking about this. But you have no ability to critically parse like any media. Like it's not just jokes. Like it's such an obvious point.
I watch. If I spend as much time listening to Sam Hyde's podcasts as I did yours, then I would feel comfortable knowing motivation, because you said explicitly as heinous, if not more heinous, shit than anything Sam Hyde does.
First of all, that's not true. Number one. Number two. Okay. If that so what you just said was either incorrect or a lie. I don't know what it was, because if you were saying I haven't seen enough Sam Hyde to know, so I just can't say, that would be one thing. But it's not. You're not saying that. You're defending him. So you have the affirmative position on defending him. You're not saying I don't really know. I can't say. You're saying no, that was a joke. That's post-ironic. That was irony. This argument is good. So you're not saying you're not taking an indifferent or neutral position. You're defending him.
Okay, I hereby concede to you on this issue.
No, but you don't believe it. You don't feel it. It's just.
What happened to not trying to convince people of this? I said at the beginning multiple times, Sam Hyde brought the ideas up. Let's address the ideas on the face. Now we're trying to interpret his jokes, which I've said 5 times. He's post-ironic. That's part of the problem. You're post-ironic, which is why you said, well, I genuinely believe that you might think that between 10 rapists and 0 rapists is a centrist, you'll pick 5. It's like, I'm not. I get. It is certainly, okay, the people that like Sam Hyde, there's definitely people that like Sam Hyde, and Sam Hyde could very well be a genuine, let's kill the Jews type person. I don't know, okay? Now you say it's obvious.
That in-group loyalty quite.
If that's obvious and everyone who likes him then also agrees with that, then we're fucked, because there's just millions of people and we're all screwed. Okay, it's like,
well, part of fighting
Sam
against
Hyde
it is recognizing it and at least being able to call it out. But if we don't even have the ability to do that, because this is always my most difficult job, is fighting the centrists. Okay, the people like you are like, oh no, this is like the same as anything else, and it's like, well, now I appear unhinged for just accurately labeling something as what it is.
There are other reasons you appear unhinged, as I'm sure
you can say that. That's fine. But like, there's a reason why, and you can go through this whole thing, and I would be shocked if you could give me. Oh wait, I sent you a new link. Click this. You don't have to go through it yet, but I would be shocked if you could go through that video. I really want you to tell me what he says an American is that could apply to somebody who's not white. I really want to hear you say that.
I condemn.
I don't care. No, I don't care. I don't give a fuck about that. Here, I'm just curious. Let's listen to this for like 30 seconds. One minute from this to 3:08. Okay, let me know when you're here. Okay, we'll just listen to it. Okay, ready?
All right. What? Sorry. What on the most recent one you sent? Or?
Yeah, I linked you a thing. We'll just listen to this for like a minute. Okay.
Okay.
Then when you got it open, it's at 2:08. Okay.
2:08.
Yep.
Okay. Countdown.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Should be like, yeah, go have it.
They have the highest in-group loyalty, and they have a high enough IQ to disguise that that in-group loyalty quite well.
I guess I think in-group loyalty is fucking cool.
Well, I mean, there's a case to be made for that, but unfortunately, if you don't have high in-group loyalty, you
get eliminated,
genetically doomed.
Yeah.
To be eradicated from the face of the earth as a group.
Really?
Yeah.
As a group, though. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just ancient biblical warfare is still happening to this day, just under different names.
It's tribal. It's tribal warfare, and it's kind of seems unavoidable. I think it's unavoidable, the fact that tribal warfare is a thing. I mean, it happens in nature all the time. It happens with fucking trees. Do it. Trees favor other trees with they share nutrients, I think, and they favor trees that are more genetically similar to them than trees that are not.
Yeah,
so
like birch trees don't fuck with any other trees.
That's just the way of nature. And white people, I think, are currently getting beat down pretty hard with white guilt, and that's why they have this one reason why they have this lowered in-group loyalty, I think.
For now.
Okay.
We'll see if it'll change.
Pause.
Pause. Okay.
Yeah, so this is the second prong of the neo-Nazi stuff, right? It's Jewish people are utilizing in-group loyalty, and then they fabricate things like white guilt in order to have white people hate themselves, which makes them non-competitive with Jewish people, which allows Jewish people to be the Zog, the Zionist occupied government, to influence white people to both destroy themselves and help Israel, right? This is just like super bog standard like neo-Nazi stuff. And he's talking, and all the time here, notice how he's talking genetics, trees, genes.
Yeah.
Like none of this is cultural.
He should watch more Jordan Peterson. He'd be less ignorant.
Okay.
Because then he'd know that religions are precisely the mechanism that latches on to the in-group genetic preference and abstracts it out to we're all God's children, and my in-group is every other human. So in-group loyalty is, of course, obviously a thing. He's not wrong about that. We have a genetic preference for in-group. The reason that religion is important, a good religion, is that it uses that psychological mechanism and expands it out to bring everyone under the same genetic lineage, quote unquote.
Okay.
So C minus.
Okay.
Fuck that.
I think you will be a neo-Nazi like within 2 years. That's my guess. If you're not already and you're hiding it, but we'll see.
I think that you do not take the genuine rise of genuine anti-Semitism seriously. Because if you did, you would approach it differently.
Okay. I don't really give a fuck about anti-Semitism that much. I'm not Jewish, so fuck.
Okay,
them.
fair enough. Well, that's fine. All right.
I don't care. I don't care about anti-Semitism because one, I'm not Jewish, and two, because Israel doesn't do itself any favors. I don't give a fuck. I just don't like the fact that like neo-Nazi culture is so pervasive in my country because it comes out in way worse ways than having to do with Jews in Israel. I don't give a fuck about that. What I give a fuck about is destroying our economy because they hate all non-white immigrants, and destroying our relationship with the rest of the world because they have strange, obsessive, isolationist autarky policies, and then destroying all of our freedoms in our government because neo-Nazis generally prefer to be like authoritarian in nature. These are the reasons why I don't like neo-Nazis. I think anti-Semitism is bad too, but I personally, no offense to my Israeli fans, I just don't care that much about it. I'm not Jewish. I don't care that much.
Well, I actually know people who went down the full anti-Semitic rabbit hole to the point where it was like a genuine psychological illness, and it very much damaged my relationship with them. And it's like, oh, people say, oh, anti-Semitism, it's a scourge. It's like, no, anti-Semitism is a scourge, but you don't know what that means. It literally rots the brain of people.
Yeah,
to the point where you have to be like, don't talk to me again. Like, I'm cutting this relationship off because of your genuine fucking insanity. That you're a fucking druggie, and I walk into this place, and this entire area is a fucking shithole. And then it's like, hey, did you see that the fucking Jews are doing this? It's like, you psycho. And so and that is dangerous. And then there are people like, fucking Nick Fuentes or something like that, who then capitalize on that psychological malady and direct it towards destructive ends. And I believe that 100%. And I think it should be utterly eradicated. Yeah. You and I have different ways of going about it.
Okay.
But that's why we're discussing it.
Sure.
That's why I'm discussing it, to see how sure I am about this. Because you didn't know what Zog was. So maybe I overestimated.
I do know what Zog. I literally said it before you defined it. Yes.
You did. You're right. Yes, that's fair. Zionists, occupied Zion. Yeah, same thing. Okay, here's a question. I guess I'd have to ask a neo-Nazi. And although I technically can't disprove that you're not one. I never understood this. Jews are trying to get rid of the white race, right? To breed them out and to turn everyone brown?
Kind of, but not 100%, but kind of.
What am I missing there?
The goal isn't necessarily to get rid of all white people. It's just to keep the white race subjugated enough so that they're controllable by Israel. They don't necessarily want to destroy them all. They just don't want them to recognize that they have a stronger in-group preference and that Israel's been using them. Yeah.
Okay. Seems like brown people and white people are kind of head to head in terms of how much they can fuck over Jews, given what's going on in the Middle East. So that doesn't seem like that would carry much water.
What? Well, but they would say that that's the reason why Israel tries to maintain some connection to the West is for defense against the evil browns, right? So, for instance, if Jewish people are afraid of the brown people in the Middle East, that's why they believe in the dancing Israelis, and that's why they think that the hijacked planes was actually done at the behest of Israel and the Mossad, is because it lured America into a war with Saddam Hussein, a guy who launched Scud missiles in '91 at the first Gulf War at Israel, and it got America more involved in the Middle East. That was Israel that did that. Israel also instigated things like the Syrian civil war and a whole bunch of other different things from the Mossad that gets America interested in the Middle East in order to have the subjugated white people fight the brown people in the Middle East that they're warring against.
You know an awful lot about this, Dustin.
I debated a lot of neo-Nazis, yeah.
I always just thought it was funny because it was like, well, you know, they're trying to reduce the white race. It's like, well, I thought the whole point of what the Jews do is they're supposed to play the races off each other, and you know, division between whites and blacks prevents them from uniting against the Jews. So why would the Jews want to turn everyone brown? Because I shouldn't say this because like I told you, I'm trying to use anti-Semitic dog whistles to further anti-Semitism. I think it would be great for humanity if, you know, 2-3 centuries from now, everyone was just the same shade of brown, and you know.
Yeah, that would be like a liberal talking point that Sam Hyde would eviscerate you for saying, or any neo-Nazi would. Yeah,
he would try.
Because the response would be,
all right.
He would say that now he would say, well, that's a useful dog whistle for what Jews want. Because while you say that would be good, they would clap, but they would say, but don't you know Jewish women have the highest in-group preference for marriages? So while they're saying that multiculturalism and interracial marriages and race mixing is good, Jewish people avoid doing that. That's why they have the ethno-state of Israel. And that's why they don't mix with brown people.
We'll have to cover Jews more in depth.
Sure. What do you think about the USS Liberty? Like, what have you even heard about that?
I listened to the original podcast with Jocko Willink, and I believe it's indisputable that Israel attacked the USS Liberty.
It's not contested, so I don't know what you mean when you say indisputable. Nobody contests that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the question is, well, what do you think the intent was? Was it a complete mistake? I'd say probably not. It was probably a false flag.
False flag for what?
To try and draw the United States into a war.
Okay, I don't know why we would even go to war over there, but...
Well, because Israel, I believe, I don't know what... I haven't listened in a while, and I certainly don't want to come here as a advocate for the USS Liberty. Or excuse me, a defender, what would you call it? Someone who is explaining the USS Liberty.
Sure.
I will say, this is a feeling thing, and I'll just be honest with you.
Yeah.
When I had heard, I saw there's a clip of someone asking Ben Shapiro about the USS Liberty, and I'd seen that like a couple years ago. I was like, okay, USS Liberty equals basement dwelling kid posting
They're almost
4chan
always
Nazis.
neo-Nazi or anti-Semitic talking points. Almost always, yeah. That's how I view it. Yeah.
That's how I used to see it, and then I watched
you heard one
the
guy
podcast.
who gave you the most biased perspective from one of the lunatic
Person who was there.
Yes. These guys are
Person
like,
who was attacked and who saw his friends get killed.
why didn't they sink the ship?
They tried to.
Really? And they weren't able to do it?
They tried to kill everyone on it.
Why did they fail? They couldn't sink a ship that wasn't equipped for combat?
Good question. That's a good question.
And what's the answer to it?
I don't know.
Doesn't bother you? Doesn't that seem kind of strange that a country that went to war with every single surrounding country and demolished them? You know that in 67, in that 6-day war, they destroyed every single Egyptian airfield. I don't think Egypt got a single plane off the ground. Yeah, tell me, how were they not able to destroy this one surveillance ship? Tell me.
Because my inability to answer this question is a reflection of my own ignorance as much as it is the lack of a real answer to that question.
Okay, but do you see?
I don't know.
But we have
that's a very good question.
No.
Israel's among one of the strongest militaries in the Middle East.
You're doing the thing. You're doing the thing again. You just did it. You don't even realize it. If you were to just say,
what's the thing?
The thing is that you've already established a position, and then when pushing, you're like, well, I don't actually know the answer. But then why did you have a feeling that, oh yeah, it was definitely a false flag? Like you or not definitely, but you said
you said
you were pretty sure it was a false flag. You leaned greater than 50%.
I would bet my money.
Yes.
I would bet my money. But that doesn't mean I know.
But with no knowledge of it, why? Like false flag, that's an exceptional situation. That somebody's false flagging in the Middle East, that would be a pretty big thing, right?
This gets into a different part of the conversation.
Okay.
Well. Okay, hold on. You're very good at getting me off what I just said, which was, I don't want to discuss this point because I don't know enough. Now, you could say, well, Paul, doesn't that bother you? I would say, no. Because if you were a creationist and you started spouting off all these different things about how evolution is not true, I couldn't argue with you. I'm not saying that because I can't answer your question, therefore you're like a creationist and that you're wrong. You could be right. I don't know the answer to that question. In fact, that's a very obvious question. Israel's one of the strongest militaries in the Middle East. How could they not have sunk the ship entirely? Question number one. I don't know.
Okay. The issue I have isn't that you don't know. It's not the issue that I have isn't that you don't know. The issue that I have is that you conveniently have a position that's always on the side of the thing, and that's just kind of weird to not know anything about it. But it also puts me in a weird position because I've been in these arguments a million times, and people keep doing this where it's like the Burisma Hunter Biden stuff. I know, blah 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 blah. And it's like, oh damn, what do you think about Giuliani's call to Zelensky's aide, the 47-minute phone call that's public? It's like, oh, I haven't heard that. I don't know anything about that. It's like, oh, well, fuck me. So conveniently, like, they know every single thing about the conspiracies that are anti-Jewish or anti-establishment, whatever, but they don't know any of the information that's been on the other side. And then they already have an intuition about it. It's like, well, of course you have an intuition about it, but you don't know anything about it. So it's like very frustrating to me. It's like, okay.
Of course I have an intuition. Yeah, that's what intuition is.
No, but you don't have an intuition.
I don't know anything about evolution. I know some about evolution, but I can't prove it.
You consumed one side of the argument, and you developed an intuition without knowing many of the facts. Isn't that kind of, that doesn't worry you that you're like building a worldview?
No, I listened to Ben Shapiro's response, and it's like, well, I don't recall exactly. I don't remember. I listened. Okay. I listened to the entire hour and a half podcast of the survivors. Right.
Yep.
I couldn't even quote you one thing right now that they said. I just watched it, but I didn't take notes to bring it up with you.
Okay.
And like I said, my inability to recall that. I know that it's possible that it's not, and I'm willing to say, okay, what if I said, I wouldn't even put it higher than like 60% it was a false. It's probably a 40%.
That's
40% chance it wasn't a false flag.
40%, 60% it was a false flag. That's still a huge, to not know any of the facts of the case. That's a pretty big percentage, no?
It's called, actually, I don't know if this is it Bayesian reasoning when you have priors?
Yep. And your Bayesian should be real low, that a country would attack a totally uninvolved country to false flag them into an existential war. Like if Israel...
are there any, hold on. Has Israel done any other verifiable false flags?
Most likely, yes.
Okay, so we know that a country that has already had a history of doing this, so that's one thing that affects my
Do you know what the difference is between,
priors?
Do you think that all false flags are the same? So inarguably, there's something called the Levant affair.
The Levant affair,
that
yes,
was
which I don't know very much about.
That's fine. I believe this was in Cairo. I think it was in the late 40s, early 50s, maybe 52. I don't remember. Where they were supposedly bombing markets at night. Now there's a lot of contention about attacks in Baghdad around the same time. I don't think there is substantial evidence to support that Israel was doing things in Baghdad, but I know some people make that argument. However, that immediately on its face, that's kind of like, at least it's a conspiracy that would make sense, right? Okay, well, they're attacking these places to try to push Jews out of these places to shore up their advantages, and you're like, okay, I could get it, right? Still, like, that's a plot for sure, but it like makes sense. Attacking a U.S. ship, failing to succeed, not even bringing the right armaments to sink the ship, and if you fuck this up, you've lost everything, right? Like if America knows that you've attacked the ship and they decide to go to war, you just lost. You've isolated yourself from the rest of the world, right? Like this is just,
I mean, not necessarily. Not if there's a sufficient propaganda outlet to cover it up.
There was no propaganda outlet because in '67 the United States wasn't even an ally to Israel. By the way, nobody that you talk to will ever say that because they don't even know the history. They don't even know that. The U.S. and Israel didn't have a very strong relationship until '73, but everybody will say that Israel attacked our own ally. Oh, you don't even know this. Yeah, it's fine. Nobody knows. Nobody knows any of the history.
I don't. You could be right. I don't know.
I am absolutely correct. Because
you say that you assert that, but that doesn't mean I know.
Okay, find a single person that disagrees with me or go look at the history. Yeah, 73 was the first time that the United States.
Sure, the idea that
but you say all these intuitions that are built on like no factual foundation. But I'm sorry. Okay, what do you want to talk about next?
Well, I'll just connect this back to my original thing.
Go for it.
I don't have any stake per se in this issue, other than what I told you at the beginning. I have one concern with Israel and one concern only. I mean, in terms of like political action.
Okay.
Cut off aid until they do something about the settlers. That's it.
Okay.
And then it wouldn't. And then like the USS Liberty. I'd like to have a full investigation into that, but whatever that means.
It has been, but okay.
I'd like to have a better investigation.
You don't even know what that means because you don't even know any of the facts.
There was an investigation into Trump's collusion with Russia, but it didn't really amount to much. But I'm sure you think there's probably.
Why didn't it? First of all, it turned out credible indictments and it recovered all of its cost.
Not a single person. I shouldn't do this. This is. I'm doing exactly what I shouldn't do, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
Not a single person in Russiagate was ever convicted of anything approximating conspiracy with Russia.
So
Paul
Roger
Manafort on
Stone,
tax.
Roger Stone
communicated with Guccifer, illegal, completely legal.
Yep. First of all, he coordinated with a Russian hacker to leak.
Okay, so what?
I don't believe that's legal.
That's not conspiracy with Russian state. Why?
It literally is a Russian state-backed hack. Yes.
Guccifer
Was a Russian
say I should do
hacker
this.
who worked out of
Correct.
Moscow.
Who said?
Yes.
Yeah. Who said? I have dirt on Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
Okay. Why wouldn't you want that?
Because
you're
it
running
comes
against
from
Hillary
a
Clinton.
foreign adversary, and you're not announcing to the State Department that you're in communications releasing this information. That's a FARA violation. You can't take direction from a foreign state without announcing this.
That's not direction.
It is direction. What do you mean? A Russia saying we have dirt on an enemy? That's taking information or direction from a foreign state.
That's taking information from. That's not taking direction from. If I say, "Hey, Destiny, I've got some dirt on such and such," you might want to check it out. Okay, hey, sure, I'll check it out. I didn't give you direction. You didn't conspire with me. You said, "Oh, someone said they have dirt on someone."
First of all, if you were a foreign actor, I think I would have to check the laws. I might have to announce it. If you're giving me information to report directly, especially if you're affiliated with the government, yes, I'm pretty sure I'd have to make a declaration to
you know what,
the
fair
foreign
enough. At
agent
least,
registered or the foreign whatever.
I will say,
wait.
It was pretty fucked up that Trump paid that British agent to produce that dossier.
That's fine. Not relevant at all. Though. The second thing. The indictment alleges that Roger Stone was literally working with Guccifer to time the hacks and was a go-between between him and the Trump campaign.
So why didn't he get charged?
He did get charged. And he was convicted, but he didn't cooperate with anybody, and he bullied another witness. But he was convicted of obstruction.
Convicted of what?
I think of obstruction and not cooperating with any of the investigation.
Right, so not conspiracy with Russia.
Yeah, without cooperating with anything, because he didn't answer any questions or...
Paul Manafort got convicted of tax fraud.
Stop. So
and Roger Stone got convicted of obstruction.
Yes, of not working with them for anything, right? And then what happened afterwards? Roger Stone said publicly that he wasn't going to squeal on Trump, and then Trump pardoned him. Trump also fired Comey as another way of trying to control that investigation, right? Why do you think he fired Comey?
Because he thinks that Comey's part of the deep state, and he's attacking him. And he's attacking the will of the American people.
Yes, you were right. Hold on, no, wait. I'm so glad you admitted that. So you just admitted that Trump was involved in the obstruction of justice because Comey's way of attacking him.
Trump led an insurrection.
No. I just want you to be super clear, or I need to say for my audience. You just said that Trump committed the obstruction of justice. He felt like Comey was attacking him by doing the investigation, so he fired him for that. That's obstruction of justice. This is why a special counsel was appointed. So that's good that you arrived at that conclusion there. Yes, correct.
As a legal charge, or are you saying morally he obstructed justice?
As a legal matter, that would be obstruction of justice. You're interfering in an investigation, yes, by firing Comey. That's obstruction of justice, yes. Well, let me be clear. Now it's not, because the Supreme Court has said that the president can't commit crimes like that. But prior to that, and for all of U.S. history, that would have been considered a criminal matter, a criminal affair, yes. He also got upset that Jeff Sessions recused himself from that investigation and didn't dismiss it all, which is another obstruction thing. But yeah, go ahead.
I'll reiterate what I said intentionally to trigger you.
Okay. You just made a false claim that there was no Muellergate good investigation or whatever.
Not a single person from the Russiagate hoax was was convicted of anything related to conspiracy with Russia.
It depends on if you...
Paul Manafort for taxes, Roger Stone for obstruction.
The Mueller investigation did not get deep enough to do that. That is correct, yes.
In other words, we need a better investigation.
I mean, that will never happen under Trump. And now it's probably not worth doing because the Supreme Court has said the president is beyond crimes, so...
That's fair. I know that I don't know enough to contend with you on this.
Sure, that's fine. Does any
so
of
there is a part of me that's just kind of fucking with you.
We'll do a vibes.
I don't want to say fucking with you.
Sure, I'm curious. Vibes check. Do you have a...
But that statement is true, technically, like on a propositionally true level.
Vibes check. Do you feel like the government pressured Twitter and Facebook when it came to censorship?
Yeah, I'd say so. It feels like that's true based on what I've seen.
Okay. Does it concern you when Donald Trump in multiple times has talked about locking up Mark Zuckerberg because he feels like he was... Okay. Does it make you wonder... It
concerns me that Donald Trump is against free speech in many ways.
Okay. Does it concern you that Mark Zuckerberg seems to have eliminated fact-checking and the moderation team in San Francisco in response to Trump's threats, and that when Trump was asked at a press conference whether he thinks Zuckerberg bowed to his threats, Trump said, yeah, probably.
Well, I think Mark Zuckerberg said that he thinks that Twitter's methodology of community notes is a better program than dedicated fact-checking teams.
Why
And I
did you
think
just say
could be
that?
true.
Where did that sentence come from?
The Joe Rogan Mark Zuckerberg podcast.
No. Why did you just say that?
Why did you say what?
I feel like in conversations sometimes when somebody's uncomfortable owning a thing, they just say a totally disconnected random thing that has like a couple words in common. What I asked very specifically was does it concern you that Trump agreed in a press conference that Zuckerberg was probably responding to his threats when he eliminated fact checking? And you told me something Zuckerberg said on Joe Rogan. It has nothing to do with it.
Does that concern me?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess, a lot of things about Trump concerns me. Does that specific thing concern me? Not any more than, I don't know, there's a million things to be concerned about nowadays, but, it sounds like Trump is taking credit because he's a narcissist and will just say that he caused everything that ever happened. That's good. But I don't know how much I believe it.
Okay. So that direct line and chain of events that is totally public and everybody acknowledges and recognizes that there's...
Everybody acknowledges and recognizes? Most people don't even know what you're talking about.
No. I'm saying that like nobody would contest any of what I'm saying as fact. They might say I don't know about it, but we could look at all these statements are public.
Yeah, I don't doubt that, but there's multiple... Okay, but hold on. True.
Yeah.
Okay, true.
Yeah.
That's one factor of why Facebook got rid of their fact checking. Trump threatened them. Okay. Do you believe that there is truth to the statement that Facebook's method of fact checking with dedicated fact checking teams is suboptimal compared to like the community notes feature, and so Zuckerberg wants to move towards a model like that?
While that's possible, it would literally be impossible now for me to ever know that. The same way that like if a teacher propositions a student for a relationship, there's no way to know if the student is truly consenting because the student could just be worried that the teacher is going to fail them if they say no, right?
Yeah. Donald Trump is molesting Mark Zuckerberg.
Do you see how you pivot to humor? Do you understand that what I just said was completely
It's
and totally
funny.
maths on?
Hold on. Do you understand how that is kind of funny that you went immediately to teacher propositioning student? I get your point. I was making a joke.
Okay.
How do you feel about this conversation so far?
Frustrated, but it's how I feel about all the politics. So I think the problem is like people will meme through every single thing that conservatives do as the country is like destroyed, and then but like everything about the woke and the left and the calling people Nazis is like the worst thing in the world. It's very frustrating.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just be 100% honest with you.
Yep.
Part of the reason I defer to memes to somewhat with you is, I mean, I genuinely think you have a lot of blind spots.
That's great, but every time we try to push on any of these, it's, well, I don't want to go into the details of this. I don't want to get into the specifics of that. I don't have any of the information about this. No. Fuck me, I guess.
No. Like blind spots about, for example, using the term Nazi, using the term, or okay, that's a better one. Let's for the Maha one. Let's, for example.
Yeah, I still haven't heard of that. I don't think that was a huge thing, but
okay, fair enough. I'm not saying, Destiny, the fact that you don't know about Maha, therefore proves you are wrong in front of the whole world. It's just because it is evidence to back up my personal belief that you have blind spots that are significant enough that you say things like, Paul, I genuinely think that if Trump wanted to rape 10 people and the Democrats said 0, you'd pick 5. It's like there's a meme level to it all underneath it to some degree.
You've already done like essentially that though in this conversation. Like when you compare like the Russiagate stuff to anything that Trump did, that Mueller investigation was obstructed so much more than any of the investigations that the Republicans have done. It paid for itself after the Manafort conviction, so it didn't even waste money. It was by and far above board in that, like even with the FISA warrant that would have gotten thrown out had it not gone through, that investigation still would have gone to where it was. And then you compare that to the Trump investigations, where the foundation for instance, the Burisma stuff with Hunter Biden, not only did that start off with Giuliani and Trump making calls to Zelensky and trying to pressure him to release public statements about Hunter Biden with no evidence, and we know that call is publicly available. You can go listen to Giuliani right after the stream for 47 minutes, beg him to announce a public investigation. Now we also know, because the guy's pled guilty and been convicted of the guy who started that whole Hunter Biden Burisma, he lied about all of it. We know that to be the case too. You're like, well, both of these were kind of bad. So that's like the raping 5 people would be better than it would be the center between 0 people and 10 people. You've essentially made that statement. Yeah.
Okay, let me say this to be as honest as possible. And I'm
Okay.
saying this not to convince, I'm not saying this because I think it will convince you. I'm saying this because I genuinely believe this and I want to inform you of how I
Go for it. Go
think.
for it.
Okay. And I alluded to this earlier. You laid off four or 5 points about, you said Russia has more influence than Israel. Here's example 1. Here's example 2. Here's example 3. Here's example 4. And I said, do that exact same thing with Israel. And you're like, I don't really feel like it. I know that you are in possession of way more information than I could possibly have for the let's just say the left-wing case, whatever that means broadly. Okay. I cannot just dismiss you as wrong because I said, well, Destiny, you spent all this time looking at it, so you'll just say whatever you need to say to justify the left-wing case. You could be correct. But I know that if I was talking to Ben Shapiro right now, he would be able to I would be in the exact same position I am to you right now than I would be to him. And I know that. And my inability...
Hold on. I can steel man all the positions of anything relating to Israel just because I'm not reading it. The reason why I'm uncomfortable doing it is because you're literally like running defense for neo-Nazis. And I am pretty sure that any argument I give you is not only going to manifest in your brain, but you might even use these arguments in the future against other types of people in the furtherance of neo-Nazism. So I don't want to give that steel man.
You want to give me the nuclear codes.
I didn't want to give you the steel man to those positions. So yeah, if you want one, I guess I'll give you one.
Okay.
The strongest one that seems conspiratorial, like the USS Liberty, which is fucking retarded, and there's no foundation in fact for that. And everybody that furthers that is either explicitly or implicitly supporting neo-Nazism. The strongest one is the fact that Israel's nuclear program probably came from them stealing information from us. And I don't even think people really contest that in the US or the Israeli government. That's kind of a bad thing. And we never really did anything to punish for that. So if you want, and nuclear proliferation is a bad thing and could lead to a whole bunch of bad things in this, that would probably be like one of the stronger versions of like, oof, that's a pretty rough one. I'm just kind of surprised we didn't do anything about that. But that would be the only one that I would grant. There are other things you could say, but these are just like, no, why would I, you're not even willing to admit that the guy who's literally on screen saying genetically in-group preference, Jews, blah, blah, blah. You're like, well, I don't know about that guy. No, why would I give you the talking points for the other side?
I didn't say, well, give me the talking points for the other side.
Here's a question. You said you gave Sam Hyde's video, you said a B+. What did you give my analysis of it? An F? Because I said Nazi?
I only watched like 5 or 10 minutes of it.
Oh, okay.
I heard, you called him a Nazi and my brain kind of turned off.
Gotcha.
I'm like, because whereas, which is totally different than like the Twitter files debate, which I've cited before. Like that's the best debate. Because I'm over here thinking, Michael Schellenberger, Matt Taibbi, these guys are... My understanding of the narrative was the Democrats were using Twitter to censor people or censor conservatives, which is true. But the whole story, that's partially true. But it leaves out the other important part, which is the Trump administration was doing just as much. And I learned that from your debate.
Sure. So this is just a thing that I don't in the process of figuring this out. I don't know. So I have to figure out do I need to lie to misrepresent my positions? No. Well, yes, because you're saying yes. Because if I'm accurately identifying stuff, you're not going to listen. But Sam Hyde, who speaks in dog whistles and slightly more coded talk, you said earlier, and you were correct, that crazy Nazi people who are overtly anti-Semitic, that you don't talk to them anymore. You don't like them anymore, that it's a mind-rotting thing. But if a friend came up to you and he started talking to you about Israel stealing nuclear information from the United States and how strange it is that the USS Liberty was attacked and it seemed like there was nothing that happened, and the fact that the AIPAC funds 90% of elected, you'd be like, oh shit, these are all really good points, because they know on their side, but we can't be openly, avowedly fucking neo-Nazi. We've got to be a little bit smarter about it. Sam Hyde is very smart and he's very good at what he does. And then you'll listen to those people oh yeah, those guys are, yeah, I get that 100%. But then I have to figure out on my side, okay, well, do I want to accurately call it out? Or do I need to also play the same dog whistly coded language game, which I personally don't have an interest in playing, but I mean, you're living proof that it's incredibly effective and it works really well. So I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to do there. We can watch this. We can watch anything from Sam Hyde.
No.
Sure, we don't. But if you go through that video, you will not be able to find him ever giving an example of an American. Okay, that's not white European stock, right? And you watch the whole video and you don't remember a single thing about what it means to be an American. But I'm sure he said a lot of bad things about immigrants, a lot of bad things about economic exchange units, because that's the liberal argument. Yeah.
All right. So let's say all this is true. I'm problematic in my media diet, right? In the way I consume media. Which is true. I obviously could improve my media consumption.
Sure,
my,
me as
my,
well.
me- my media diet.
That's why you should go to ground.news/DGG and get a.
I
Ground
made
News.
a post about it. Does anyone use Ground? Do you use Ground News?
Yeah, I do now.
Because they pay you?
Because Israel pays
Obviously, I'm
me.
not getting it.
Sorry, God.
Israel pays all of us. I don't know. I guess it's a. It's difficult to know what to say because I don't really know. Like on the one hand, I want to tell you what I honestly think, but I'm also where we're streaming right now, and it's like, well, like for example, you say a lot of dumb shit, in my opinion.
Like
Stuff
what?
that automatically turn all conservatives are artards.
Okay.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever fucking heard in my life. And I know very intelligent people who are conservative. So by virtue of the fact that you say that, I go, okay, now I know my trust level of destiny has
Sure.
dropped.
So here's a
And
question.
that comes into play in this
Can I,
conversation.
yeah, sure. So here, can I ask you this question? Why is it that when I say that, you get so triggered that you automatically lower your trust in me? But Sam Hyde can say anything he wants, and it's always like an epic, hilarious joke.
It's okay. That's a straw man right there. You think anything Sam Hyde says? Dude, totally. Oh yeah, 100%. This is the first
No,
time
it's
we
not
talked about Sam Hyde.
100%. But you said you listened
Hold on.
you listened
We've
to a
talked
46-minute video of his, and you can only
Correct.
listen to 5 minutes of my reaction because I said nuts, and you got so triggered you turned it
Okay,
off.
I've listened to probably maybe 100 hours or more of you, probably over the course of probably like 4 years or 5 years. I probably listened to several hundred hours, probably
Okay.
in the background, maybe. So I feel much more comfortable betting on where your flaws are
Okay.
than I do someone I don't know. I don't know Sam Hyde. I don't know what's in his mind. He says stupid shit. He talked about the Groypers being banned in that video. Those Groypers, as far as I know, were posting fucking memes about children getting you-know-whatted. It's like, because they hate Wife Jack, because they're all a bunch of fucking whatever. So that's dumb as shit. That's one dumb thing. That video you showed about the genetics and in-group preference. He doesn't know anything about, well, apparently, I don't know. He doesn't seem to know anything about, well, this is why we have cultural systems that augment our biological predispositions and
He does
orient
know
them in
that,
a
to be
positive
clear.
way.
He would tell you that
Okay.
culture is a thing that comes from our genetic background.
But you understand, it's like my knowledge of Sam Hyde is the equivalent of someone whose only knowledge of you is hearing the worst shit that you've said about the fucking reveling in an innocent father's death and like genociding Palestinians and not having listened to the other full conversations.
Okay.
So and I would say it's actually pretty open-minded for someone who's never known any of your stuff or know kind of how you're edgy and all that stuff to hear those few things and be like, well, I'm still willing to give him a shot. I'd be like, damn, all right, respect. Turns out that is the right attitude because I think if you listen to a lot of your stuff, it's useful. I mean, I disagree with you in the same degree I disagree with, friends about whatever moral issues all
Yeah,
the
I don't know.
time.
I don't know if okay, I'll try one more time. I feel like I just can't communicate this. I'm not saying that you're overgeneralizing me or whatever, or that it's good or bad or whatever. I'm just saying that there's a clear willingness to give charity to a particular political disposition.
Because I think he's making valid arguments, and we have to evaluate not even arguments. He's hitting on valid feelings that people have,
Okay.
and he's putting words to these feelings, and I think we have to contend with that.
So when I say that all conservatives are retards, why don't you feel the same way about that?
Because that is you are putting words to feelings. You're putting words to people who are exact. You are doing I know just as many conservatives who say the exact same about Democrats. All Democrats are evil. All progressives are fucking stupid and hate America. It's like that is just as brain dead to me.
Side, but we have to deal with that. We have to prove why we don't want to destroy America, why college kids don't represent the Democratic Party, why woke people, are going too far, and why cancel culture was bad. When was the last time Republicans or conservatives had to reflect on anything?
Hence, enlightened centrism. You do both.
Okay, 5 people.
And you
I hope they're adults at least. No, 5 rape victims. I hope that they're at least of age though, but that's okay.
I have one more thing. This will be very quick.
You're good.
Should I say this right now?
Yeah, fucking do it.
Okay. Well, I'll say this first part here.
Okay.
You know Mike Benz? He was on Joe Rogan recently.
I don't know.
Mike
I don't think so.
Benz. I never heard of him before. He's
Okay.
like, I think he used to work for the CIA. He was a reporter. That podcast had got a bunch of, it's like a 1.8 million views, got a bunch of traction. It's very, anti-permanent state type stuff, the kind of stuff that you would regard as like, brain rot, I'm sure.
Okay.
And a lot of normal people, I guess part of my, I don't know. I feel like I have a better sense of how the average person thinks and what is convincing to them than you do.
How would you? I don't.
The average person, ignorant, doesn't have much of a media diet, doesn't even pay attention to politics, wouldn't really know what Marxism was.
No, I feel like I think I have a pretty good handle on it. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, okay, fair enough. I'm just telling you that I do believe that I do have a better.
Do you want? We could run through examples and then find point data.
This is my point about. I'm not trying to debate it. I'm just trying to tell you how I feel. So a big aspect is like, okay, Donald Trump fucking won. So clearly there was, there's many different factors. So you can't just point to that one thing, but like, good ideas have to reach more normal people and you're a major influencer in the political realm. And at minimum, whether or not I convince you to change anything, which is not my goal, genuinely. But it helps me learn about what I should do. All that being said, when will you admit that you fucking lied about Donald Trump saying very fine people?
I think he did say that.
About
I don't
Nazis.
know why
about Nazis.
He goes on to condemn them later on, but I don't know why he would ever try to both sides that. It's insane to me.
Wait, so I'm being triggering. I've never seen a clip of you. Did you ever, well, okay, better question. Instead of being a cunt on my part. Would you agree that Joe Biden starting his campaign and Barack Obama repeating that lie on the campaign trail, starting his campaign on that lie and Barack Obama repeating that lie on the campaign trail, that Donald Trump called Nazis very fine people? Do you agree that it was a bad idea?
Not that much. No, I don't know why. I don't know what I've seen the quote unquote fact check and I've seen like how conservatives no, he condemned them, but like
he did explicitly one or like less than 47 seconds later.
Yeah. When he was pushed to do it after, and then when he was asked to disavow.
In one weave, he calls it the weave, by the way. I don't know if you saw that. He does the weave where he goes on a.
Yeah. See, like you're doing it again. No, hold on. Just to be clear, you're doing it again. You're laughing about the weave, but I bet you've been like incensed about Biden's senility. Like every single thing that Donald Trump does, you'd probably say 7 rapes is okay.
That's perfectly reasonable to be.
No, it's not.
Wait. What did you say? I didn't hear the second part.
Media environment. It's just the meme. Trump can say or do literally fucking anything. He could be screaming the N-word while raping black children. He'd be like, well, I mean, like he was also doing the dance while he did it. So it was going to funny. Like it's no matter what he says or does, he always gets a pass. I don't understand why.
Okay.
Yeah, it drives me insane. Jesus. Okay. Yeah, so tell me about how he was weaving when he couldn't like just outwardly disavow like the Proud Boys. Like me more about the weaving.
I regret making that. I regret making a reference to that.
It's not. You're not. You don't. It's just. I'm just showing you like.
I do. I genuinely do regret.
The jokes are always in one direction. It's like what the comedians do. We joke about anything. Hold on. But then when that one guy on Joe Rogan goes to make fun of RFK's voice, Rogan's like, whoa, not cool, dude. Right? It's just it's the same thing. Always, yeah.
Because I'm right wing compared to you. So obviously I'm going to take the more right-wing position when I'm arguing with you. I don't care about coming here and agreeing with you for 2 hours. It's the most boring fucking thing.
I don't want to waste my time. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about your position.
Hold on. Let me just say this. Because if you were Andrew Wilson, this is the exact same thing in the other direction. So obviously, when there's two of us, Paul, dude, everything you say is, it's always pro right wing. It's like, yeah, because you and I we disagree, and you're more left than me. So obviously, that's the dynamic.
If I were to go and find the last conversation that you had with Andrew Wilson, is there a point in there where you're defending Biden?
Well, we talk about he's
no.
We talk
the
about
answer is no. You're not. The fact that you
talk
have
about more important issues.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So you just gave the weed.
No, hold on.
Right.
Okay, that's cunty. Because we weren't talking about politics. We're talking about religion and how he's a Christian fundamentalist. And I regard Christian fundamentalism as fucking nonsense. And that's a deeper ideology than far more people are influenced by religious ideology than whatever they hear about certain things going on at the political level. Most people do not pay attention to politics at all. Religion undergirds all of culture. So I would say me and Andrew were having a deeper conversation, and we disagreed just as much as we're having now. We said, well, you didn't talk about this specific thing that I focus on.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you talk about how Trump is like a fake Christian?
He is a fake Christian. 2 Corinthians? Nobody loves the Bible more than I do?
Do you see what you just said there? Hold on. Let me ask it one more time. Did you talk with Andrew Wilson about how Trump is a fake Christian? You just said people don't pay attention to politics and religion underlies everything.
No,
Donald Trump literally used weaponized religion to get elected, and you didn't bring it up. But you see, you did the thing there. That was a very clever trick, right? I asked you, did you talk about a thing, and you agreed with me while avoiding the question, right? It's very clever. It's very clever.
No, you're clever because you're sneaking in assumptions here. That matters. An assumption.
That's what you did. I asked a straightforward question. Did you talk about a thing? And you go like, oh, I agree with you there.
Yeah, the reason you asked me that is because you're implying, you didn't talk about this thing. Therefore, that proves the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make is that you're not confronting him or being anywhere near as confrontational in defense of Biden or attacking Trump as you are on my side about defending everything Trump has done and attacking Biden.
Yeah, because I'm confronting him on issues that are objectively more important, like the nature of religion in culture.
Objectively, okay.
I would say objectively.
Okay.
And I'm fucking right about it.
Okay.
In my opinion. Anyway. My point was, the most recent one was Daniel Negreanu. You know who Daniel Negreanu is?
Absolutely. I loved poker in the 2000s.
Okay. Yeah. I played a lot of online poker. Not for money, if anyone's IRSing me. Daniel Negreanu. Very normie, I would say. Poker is a very normie, non-political.
Okay.
Right? Like, people who are interested in poker aren't necessarily interested in politics, right?
I don't know if that's true anymore, but okay. But go ahead.
But like sports, I'm just saying, like, you can be interested in sports and not politics, and you can be interested.
Don't know if that's true. Politics is like infected fucking everything, but just go ahead. You just get to the point, yeah.
Sure. Daniel Negreanu, major popular figure. I've seen his was the most recent, and then I don't know, I can't think of them. I've seen like at least 4 or 5, including my own personal life, where everyone cites the very fine people on both sides lie as one of the reasons they turned on, let's say, your side broadly.
Okay.
Daniel Negreanu just said this. And I saw the video and I was like, wait a minute, for 4 years, I thought he said Nazis were very fine people. And then I see the video and that was bullshit. So in my mind, that's an example of indisputably, I wish I would trust you more, not that it matters to you, but I would trust you more if you were as quick to go after that type of lie that Biden puts forward, or the left or whatever broadly, as you would all the lies that Trump does put forward.
So the lies that Trump puts forward are far more egregious, and I don't even necessarily consider that thing to be a lie.
But consider this.
Yeah.
That he did not say that Nazis were very fine people.
He said that there were fine people on both sides of that protest. That was a really weird thing to say at a Tiki Torch rally. No, was it not? We can watch the video of Trump saying it if you think that.
Watch the whole thing. Watch the whole thing.
Where is the fucking?
Very fine people on both sides.
Is it?
We don't have to watch if you don't want to.
I mean, we can people on both sides. No. It's always good to have the video, or whatever.
Primary evidence.
You're putting what you're.
I think it's 1 minute and 40 seconds, probably.
Is this in the Wallace debate, or is that when he just does stand back and stand by? Okay, then it's his press conference.
That's stand back and stand by. That's different.
Okay, here we go. There you go. Press conference here. You ready?
Okay, I've seen it before. You could.
Oh, you want me to just listen? Okay, I'll just listen to it. I'll time to it. I'll just watch it on my stream. Okay, hold on.
calling the alt-left and white supremacists on the same moral plane.
I'm not putting anybody on a moral plane. What I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. But there is another side. There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, or you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is.
From both sides, so you said there was hatred, there was violence on both sides.
Well, I do think there's blame. Yes, I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either. And if you reported it accurately, you would say. They showed us Charlottesville. Excuse me. Protesters. And you had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. No, George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, excuse me, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that.
So at 2:03 in this, he says, I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis, they should be condemned totally, whatever. But prior to this, he's both sizing the fuck out of
Very fine
this.
people on both sides, yes. On the argument about whether or not you should rename statues of slave owners, which is, there are very fine people on both sides of those
It wasn't about whether or
arguments.
not you should rename statues. It was in reference to this particular rally that had tiki torch marchers.
Then who was he saying was very fine people on the left side?
Well, it's just him both sidesing everything. What do you mean?
So in other words, not in any way endorsing white nationalists or the neo-Nazis who he condemned totally 40 seconds later.
It was a neo-Nazi. It was a neo-Nazi march rally.
Look,
it's just him trying to both sides it.
Then, okay. Who? It was not. He's not referring to just the rally. He's referring to the people who said there is the rally. And then there are other people who are like, well, I'm not obviously part of the rally, but
both sides.
I don't think we should take down statues of Robert E. Lee, which is fine. You can have a discussion about that. There are very fine people on both sides of that argument. Some people don't want to take them down. I don't care. I'm not Southern, so whatever. But the idea, and I know, and you know that, and I know that everyone watching knows that that is an argument that is ongoing, which is clearly what he's referring to. Otherwise, why would he have 40 seconds later condemn them, the white nationalist people who were doing the rally?
Because when he gets ultra pushed, eventually he'll do it. He did it with Wallace. He did it kind of with the Proud Boys.
Okay, so here's what I was saying. This is my question, I guess. Why is that such a common red pilling quote experience for normies like Daniel Negreanu? That they hear it all the time and then they see the full clip and they go, "Oh my God." Why do you think
because
that's
people
the
like
case?
you are willing to provide cover for it.
See, fuck that. What do you think? I'm influencing Daniel Negreanu?
Here's a question. I don't even know if you'll be able to engage with this. Here's a question. You say I want to be politically effective, right?
I say you want...
Do you agree? You think I'm trying to be politically effective, right? So I'm trying to communicate with people, right?
You?
Yes.
Do I agree that you're... Yes, you want to be politically effective.
So
I don't know. Well,
here's a question.
Okay.
What do you think is more egregious, okay? This lie about what Donald Trump said, or the fact that you will never get a single conservative lawmaker, not randos on fucking Twitter, to acknowledge that most of the BLM protests were peaceful? And then my next question is going to be why is it that they can characterize a year's worth of protests as all being violent, and that's okay, and they will never disavow that, and fuckers like you will never ask them to disavow it, and people like you will never say, well, I stopped listening to Republicans because they characterized an entire fucking summer's worth of protests as one thing. You will never say that. If I would, I'll bet you, do you have a PayPal? I'll give you $200 right now. Okay, I seriously will. I'll transfer it to you. If you can show me at any YouTube video, any PayPal, yeah, $200 right now. Have you ever condemned Republicans for not saying like, oh, why do you guys keep saying they were all violent? Why would you guys acknowledge that most of them were peaceful? If you've ever said that, I'll pay by $200 right now. In a single video or a single tweet we've ever said that ever. Where you said, why haven't Republicans...
I've defended the Black Lives Matter riots and people criticizing them?
No. Where you've said to Republicans, why won't you acknowledge that most of these were peaceful?
Most of my... Okay, I can't show you that video.
Okay, I know you can't. So tell me why the
wait,
difference.
tell me why.
I'm
Tell me
asking
why I
the
can't show you that video.
Hold
on, why can't I show you that video?
Because for some reason you guys only listen to the propaganda from the conservative side. So I'm asking you, so hold on. No, wait. So what that tells me is I need to lie more if I'm trying to be politically effective, because the conservative lie is a million times worse, but this was enough to change you? We're not lying enough. That's what's being sold to me.
If that is your conclusion, I cannot save you from your own doom, Destiny.
Okay.
Your name is your fate. Your destiny is your. I don't know. Destiny is your destiny. The reason I don't talk. The word Republican and Democrat almost never comes up in any. It maybe comes up in every 8th or 10th video I make, because I talk mainly about, like, let's just talk about the Black Lives Matter ideology and systemic racism and all that stuff.
Okay.
You view things from a primarily political lens.
Yeah, but you know all of
Like
the.
political-
How do you happen to know all of the talking points from the conservatives then? This is why I hesitated when you were like, poker's not political, right?
I know all
Not
the talking
everything's been-
points of the left wingers.
Okay, hold on. Maybe you just don't talk to any right wingers about politics. Do you just not talk to any right wingers about politics?
I talk. No, what? No. Where are you getting that conclusion from? What? No.
You don't talk to any right wingers about politics.
No, I do.
You do.
I just gave the example of, like, on YouTube, or what do you mean?
Like, are there any conversations?
Do
you've
I
had?
know people that are intelligent
Are
and
there
conservative
any
who I disagree with? Yeah.
Are there any conversations you've had on YouTube or Twitter where you are giving the common retorts to the right-wing conspiracy, the right-wing nonsense? Because you've had every right-wing thing in your mind to counter the left-wing stuff. Russiagate was fake and nobody was actually convicted of conspiracy. The USS Liberty and the Israel controls the U.S. To our detriment talking points. This was the worst lie, the both sides things about Trump. And I'm sure there are others that we could think about. Have you ever done any equivalent thing right here to somebody on the right ever in any conversation ever? A single time on any YouTube video, any tweet?
Clearly, you did not watch my Candace Owens Champion Spotlight.
Okay.
Did you see it?
I probably watched it, but this is like explicitly a meme video.
Oh, destiny. And here lies our fundamental disagreement. You think rational arguments on YouTube are the best way to convince people, and I think memes are.
Okay, but you gave me rational arguments that defended all the conservative conspiracies.
I think
here.
rational argumentation is important.
You gave me the real thing about Russiagate was fake. You gave me the real thing about this both sides argument. You had a real example of people being turned. Yeah. You had the real example of the USS Liberty. But when it comes to conservative criticism, it's all memes, right? This is the issue. This is what I'm saying. Trump can do no wrong. Like, you will always have a meme, always a joke. Sam Hyde is a joker. He's hilarious. He's epic. Like, there's always a meme. There's always a joke. None of it is serious. But holy fuck, bro. Cancel culture, trans people in bathrooms.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, part of my hesitancy with the Sam Hyde thing is I have not watched as much stuff as I've watched of yours.
Okay.
The fact that I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, despite the individual horrible fucking things you've said, I feel like I'm obligated to give that attitude towards Sam Hyde as well. There's also another weird aspect of, like, now that, I mean, you're a public figure. I guess I'm a semi-public figure now as well. So, like, I'm not going to shit talk Sam Hyde when I haven't talked to him directly. Whereas if I was talking to him directly, I'd be like, hey, Sam, why are you cozying up to the Nick Fuentes people who hate Wife Jack? Like, it's kind of fucking weird, don't you think? It's kind of anti-religious in every possible way. It's kind of exactly the kind of degeneracy that you criticize the left for. Like, that's what I would ask him, and I would honestly challenge him. Now, he'd probably be harder to argue with, because you just argue with rational. So you have you're the best within it.
His arguments would be irrational. He would say something along the lines of,
maybe, I don't know.
He would say something, I can tell you what he would say. I know what he would say. He would say something along the lines of, like, maybe these people got banned for breaking the TOS, and if that was the case, he might be okay with it, but that's not why they got banned. They very clearly got banned because they were fighting against the Zog, the H-1B machine, and you've got these soulless ghouls like Elon Musk and Vivek, these people who aren't even real Americans because they don't come from the white European stock that we do, and that's the reason why they were banned. They were shut down for opposing the Jewish machine to control Americans and what white people need to be, which is bred out and hating themselves. That's what his response would be, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe that you believe that is what he would say, and you could be right.
Okay.
Let me ask you this broader question.
Sure.
What do you call, because centrist is evil, is it not conceptually possible that someone actually is a centrist in terms of, like, I genuinely dislike the left, the excesses of the left, as much as I dislike the excesses of the right. And I recognize that while at any given one time there might be a different balance of power in the institutions, in the media, they both are permanent threats. And, you know, I'm pro free speech, I'm pro gun, but I'm also for fixing climate change. Do you believe that person can exist conceptually? And what do you call that person?
No, not really.
Really?
Yeah.
Because of constellations of beliefs?
No, because it's an issue of magnitude. I don't know if people, I think intuitively everyone understands this, but I don't know if it's like bad faith intentionally or it's just like mind games. Like, do you think that drinking too much water like can be bad for you if you're overhydrated?
I mean, if you drown, but no, I don't think so.
Well, you can have osmotic imbalance of. Okay, let's. Do you think
Like
that,
if you just chug water
do you think
until
that drinking
you can't
too much
anymore?
caffeine can be bad for you?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Do you think that shoving a knife in your eye socket is bad for you?
Depends on what your goal is, but yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Do you think that if somebody came up and said like, both these things are bad, would you look at that person kind of weird, or would you say like, yeah, that's true?
I see. Yeah, I see. We talked about this the first time. You right now, you think the right is more magnitude. I understand that, and you could be right. And arguably, now that the right is in power broadly, I would say, yeah. Again,
It has nothing to do with them being in power. Even when they were out of power, there were horrible things going on.
sure,
But,
fine. Let's say the right. Okay, hold on. Destiny, I agree with you.
okay.
On one hand, the right. If anyone is going to burn down this country, 60-40.
Okay.
70-30, whatever, will come from the right. Let's say it will more likely come from the right if anyone's going to burn down this country. That is why I use memes like Zog.
Okay. Doesn't
Because
make
if
any
the
sense,
right-
but okay.
If the right, not to you, but remember, you're an autist and I'm a schizo.
Okay.
So we must agree to disagree on some sense.
Okay. Your homework assignment.
Yeah,
I'm
go
assigning
ahead.
you some. For our next meeting, I want you to watch that whole Sam Hyde video, and I want you to tell me, what do you think he thinks an American is?
Would you be willing to talk to him?
I have talked to him before. Right now, I don't know if I would. I've had the offer to, but it's going to be a highly
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Look, it's a very, and I like the post irony is a powerful defense mechanism. And
It has nothing to do with
or
post irony.
whatever.
Anybody that understands what's going on.
he would
there,
just-
no, he wouldn't just meme. We would be a serious conversation, but it would just be another neo-Nazi
Why wouldn't you have the
debate.
conversation then?
Because it's super fucking boring. It's about some dude that thinks it's unfalsifiable conspiracy bullshit, and then it's going to be some vague notion to what the European stock. It's going to be a misunderstanding of the 65 Hart-Celler Immigration Act. It's going to be a misunderstanding of the types of Americans that even came over, and the idea that Germans and Anglo-Saxons. It's a whole bunch of like not neo-Nazi shit is so tired and boring and stupid, and everybody that follows it is a fucking loser who doesn't contribute or build to anything in the United States anyway. It's dumb. I'm super over it. Maybe someday I will. I don't know if it gets more popular. I don't think the majority of MAGA are neo-Nazis. I think some of them are racist. A lot of them just have economic anxiety. I think that like a lot of it, yeah. But then they get
Majority of MAGA support Israel, I think.
probably yeah, because they're older.
Do you know who Ian Carrol is on Twitter?
I feel like I've seen the name before. What is it?
He's like a hippie looking guy. He usually has a mustache, but sometimes his beard, and he's always doing like the Israel videos. So here's the thing about Israel. But you don't know who I'm talking about?
Nope.
Okay. I would benefit if you two had a conversation. I think that would be a bit, because Ian Carroll seems, from what I've seen,
10,000
good
followers.
faith.
This guy, Ian Carroll.
No. He ratioed Elon Musk recently.
Can you give me? How do you spell his name?
I think it's. Let me look it up. It might be like the Irish Ian. Ian.
Oh, the Ian Carroll Show.
Ian Carroll Show. Yeah.
Oh Jesus! Just from the fucking profile, he seems like a fucking retard. But
See, but that's the thing, Destiny. I know so many people who would say the same thing about you, and I don't take that seriously. So why would I take it seriously when you do that to other people?
it's just a heuristic. I could be wrong. He might be really smart.
Well, I think that's true. That's what I'm saying. You guys should have a conversation.
Follow the money, seek the truth. Seems like he probably puts an overemphasis on fucking lobbyists or some bullshit. And I bet if he's MAGA, he'll say follow the money. But I bet there's no criticism in here about Elon Musk or any of the multiple billionaires. Seek the truth is always a fucking dog whistle for I'm the most retarded person you'll ever talk to. OSINT journalism. I've never heard of this guy being like associated well with the OSINT community ever. Maybe that's just me not hearing about it. But it's really annoying that people have hijacked this OSINT term to being like I'm a baller who doesn't fucking know how to fucking read longitude latitude on a fucking map. Exposing globalism. Oh, he is retarded. Not an expert in anything but sarcasm. And then nice, we got the veil of sarcasm to hide ourselves from any serious critiques. I see our Make America Happy, Healthy, Human, Great Again. Very nice.
I wish I was as smart as you.
It's all good. Oh, nice. He supports the GameStop thing, so he's financially fucking retarded as well. What else do we have here? Here's an explanation of the actual market-wide criminal conspiracy the GameStop Okay, yeah, so he's fucking stupid on this. The Diddy lawsuit. Oh, he's obsessed with all of the culture war stuff. Probably gets a lot of talking points from. I could tell you a whole bunch of stuff that he probably. Have you watched his stuff before?
I see his videos.
Does he believe, for instance, that the Diddy stuff isn't just about Diddy, but there's actually a wider conspiracy that every single Hollywood actor and maybe even politicians and other powerful people in society are brought into parties where they're forced to have sex or do crazy things? Really? He doesn't believe that?
No, he just. You said every single actor.
Not every single actor. I'm sorry.
Oh.
But the majority of the ones that they can get their hands. Oh, hold on. I understand. So he does actually believe what I just said in the non-hyperbolic version, because that's why you bid on that. Okay, so he does believe that. Okay.
Yes, that there are that type of shit is open secrets in elite circles. Yeah, I don't know who would dispute that. You don't think people knew that about Harvey Weinstein and P. Diddy and that type of activity? You don't think most people in those circles had an idea?
That's not the strong claim. That's the weak centrist claim that people like you will defend. The strong claim is that this is all done intentionally to keep these people under thumb. If you're a neo-Nazi, it's so that Jewish people can use you to signal for your Jewish interests.
Okay, I'd have to go review the documents, but I believe it absolutely is the case that
you're going to say it was Jewish people.
They were using no. Well, there were Jewish people there. It's fucking Hollywood. Okay. You say it's fucking Israel.
And they were using them. Were they using them for Israel? Okay. No, it's all good. It's all fine. It's all good. You just happen to know every single neo-Nazi factual argument. No. Also, by the way, you know all of these. These aren't memes or jokes.
So
like the verbatim, rational. I know it's lame, but you know you just said before. I just communicated memes and jokes, but you know the factual, logical arguments for every single neo-Nazi argument. Does that even concern you a bit that you know all of them?
I don't know all. That's why I asked you about. Wait, how is all the different races being turned brown? How is that good for Jews? I thought that would be bad for them. Okay. The point about they use people, fucking P. Diddy was blackmailing other people. Yes, that's true. And his associates were blackmailing other people and said, keep this fucking shit to yourselves. That's indisputable.
That's not what the strong claim. The strong claim is that all of this. No.
I'm not accusing you of being a Nazi.
It's not about blackmailing
somebody. Because I said
it's not about blackmailing somebody.
Some of these people happen to be Jewish.
It's about blackmailing them to control the media and to make sure that people are putting out like the proper messages. Otherwise, they're going to reveal the crazy shit that P. Diddy got you to do at the party. That's the point. That's the strong claim. That's what people like Candace Owens believe.
Say the last part again. That what?
It's not that they're blackmailing them to keep it a secret. That makes sense. Like that's literally just like
to do other shit.
Yes, like the media messaging around like Israel and Jews and stuff like that.
I have no doubt that fucking Israel has done. First off, Israel has done fucking insane shit with fucking all kinds of blackmailing stuff and whatnot. Ellie Cohen is like the super spy. There's documentaries about Ellie Cohen who has orgies with Syrian officials and all that shit to fucking
makes sense.
Get information and compromise them and all that.
Okay, so these are enemies of the state. Why do you think this is the same thing? Hold on. If I were to tell you that that I don't know any MMA fighters, some dude beat the shit out of his wife, and you were like, wait, really? And I was like, yeah. I mean, he beats the shit out of people in the ring. Wouldn't you believe that? Do you understand how stupid that comparison would be? When you say
that
Israel,
is a stupid comparison.
Yeah.
I agree.
So when you say that Israel has committed like acts of espionage and shit against enemies of the state versus allies, those are two totally different things, right?
Okay, first, when I am older and wiser, and when I have become as successful as you, I will spend 12 hours a day reading through these documents, citing these specific examples, having all of the evidence, having all of the things, right? Like, and then we will have a conversation. I am fully aware, and I know full well, that when I am pushing back against you, it is not convincing to you or to most people watching potentially. I am saying these things because I believe they're true, and there is a moral axiom that here are things that I believe as of right now, and you're intelligent, and I've seen enough of your stuff where I can kind of, if you say something dumb, then I can kind of be like, okay, well, does he really believe that I think it's better to be 5 rapists than 10?
Okay, sure. Just find one thing in the future that we can go on it, because this is every conversation I have is very conveniently people are allowed to retreat to narratives and vibes, but when it comes to pushing on any factual point, there's nothing ever. It's always shadows.
Okay, fair enough. I would end with this.
Yeah.
If you were more accommodating and just said,
I've already addressed this. I don't care where it is. Because I'm just going to counter and I'm going to say, why doesn't the right have to be accommodating? I already gave that example. Wait. I'm just curious about this. Okay, hold on. Ian tweets, I think this was 10 hours ago. No, I'm so sorry. This is 4 days ago, okay? Criticize Israel on social media and you immediately get accounts like awesome Jew doxing your 70-plus-year-old parents. Totally not mob tactics. Something, God's chosen people. Something, most moral army. Not a good look, awesome Jew. Criticize
yeah.
America's government. I won't take it personally. All help. Israel, though, can't criticize them. They're perfect or else we'll harass your elderly parents. This only proves my point. This isn't normal. And awesome jewelry should have been banned for this exact behavior months ago, years ago. I am far from the first.
What am I supposed to think of that? He got doxxed by awesome Jew, or his parents got doxxed? That seems bad. You shouldn't dox people.
Do you think that
no matter how awesome of a Jew they are?
So
the God's chosen people thing?
No. Here's a tweet. So he apparently thinks the Jews did 9/11.
Does he?
So on
what does it say?
July 24th, he said Israel did 9/11. Look up the dancing Israelis, the Israeli art students, a clean break, etc. These are all like the big Nazi stories.
What are all those?
I'm not getting to every single one of these, but it has.
Have you looked into them?
The dancing Israeli ones, yes, and
I don't
the clean
even.
break
I've
memo,
Googled it.
yes.
It's like
it's retarded.
Okay.
I don't know the Israeli art students one. That's a whole new one. I may have to look that up in the future.
Interesting.
We've got Israel did 9/11 was another tweet a few months ago. We've got look at every single Israel account using 9/11 as justification for what we need to support.
Send me the one where you said Israel did 9/11.
I sent you a tweet.
Did?
The last tweet I did. There's 4 pictures of different tweets he's made. Funny how there was a ton of evidence that Israel was involved in perpetrating 9/11 that all got swept under the rug by the CIA and media, and it was all quote unquote debunked by ignoring it and hoping it would go away. The war on terror was an Israeli op from the start. Oh, he's doing the thing. Remember when I said earlier why they say that Israel caused 9/11 was to bring us into the Middle East to fight their enemies? Notice how he used that neo-Nazi talking point? Isn't that crazy? I've never seen this guy's tweets in my life, but I knew the exact neo-Nazi talking point that he would use.
What is the neo-Nazi about that? Israel did 9/11?
Israel did 9/11 to draw us into the Middle East so that we would go and kill the Arabs for them because they're enemies of the Jews.
I have no evidence against that.
Okay. Last one, and then I won't bug you anymore, okay? The last one. I haven't watched this before, so I'm just curious, okay? Let's watch it. It's 3 minutes, okay? Ready? Let me know when you're ready.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. 3.
You picked one with Sneeko in it on purpose, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Shout out Candace Owens.
Goes hard.
Really? Candace is the GOAT.
What do you think she's went deeper on?
Well, she's just not afraid right now to talk about the Bolsheviks and the Nazi things and just like ask the questions of like what do we and don't we know for real about the World War II history, and like how are we so sure, and why are we not allowed to ask those questions? Because obviously, like, we see the manipulation of our information today. Why wouldn't it have been manipulated around World War II when there's like, it was way easier for them to do? And so she's just did a really great piece, like her whole show about how in Russia, like millions and millions of Christians were being exterminated by the Bolshevik Jews up there. So she's just really like.
Is she saying Jews or Bolsheviks?
No, she's saying Jews.
Yeah, I mean because the
head Bolsheviks were Jews.
Yeah, and it's the argument is like no, they weren't Jews, but it's like the guy that founded them was, and there's like at the very least we should ask some questions and just nothing wrong with questions. If the truth is true, questions won't hurt it.
History should always be able to be re-examined. I mean, look, we don't even know what's true today. We argue over the news what's real or not.
Exactly.
To say some history is like set and 100% true, and you can go to jail for certain things is absolutely absurd to me.
How long is Candace going to last on YouTube, BotTube?
Oh, on YouTube, dude. I'm sure she's already getting demonetized in some ways.
It's hard to cancel her.
Yeah, I don't think they can take her down.
I mean, they took down a lot of other people at similar sizes.
As big as Candace. Candace is big,
and she's in a different class right now where she's.
Okay, we can pause if you want, I guess.
Where's the lie?
Is that a meme or?
No, I'm dead serious.
Have you ever heard of the term or the expression cultural?
Just asking.
Cultural Bolshevism.
Just asking questions.
So cultural Bolshevism was the Nazi.
Cultural Marxism. Yeah.
Well, it was the idea that it was all headed by.
He talks about cultural Marxism.
No, cultural Bolshevism very specifically referred to how like Jews were controlling the art scene. Oh, crazy! How the parallels to modern day. In
hold on. Wait. Jews control Hollywood. Is that more true or less true?
I can't tell if you're playing dumb or not. You're smarter than this. Why are you asking me this?
Okay, the Jews control. Okay, it's like saying white people control America, or saying men control America.
No, what's the claim? Why are you doing going back to this like super like
hold on?
thing?
Okay, this is it not the case that Hollywood?
No, I'm not answering this question. What do you think? Just tell me. I don't know why we have to do this. You're not stupid. What is the strong claim?
Of what I just asked you? Is Hollywood significantly influenced by Jewish people and disproportionately made up of Jewish people? Hello, did you see Dave Chappelle's fucking SNL monologue? It's a lot of Jews. You think anyone disputes that? To then say, therefore, to be Jewish is to be part of this grand fucking conspiracy, that's a strong claim and is wrong. And is self-evidently wrong with people like fucking Norman Finkelstein and Gabor Mate and Dave Smith.
Yes, cultural Bolshevism, which I think they even said that expression, was about saying that Jews were intentionally subverting society using art and stuff to weaken the German people.
This is, okay. Maybe that's what that means. I heard the exact same thing about Jordan Peterson when he talked about cultural Marxism.
I'm not talking about Jordan Peterson right now. He's on this podcast with Mike Shields, who's basically an open neo-Nazi. I think the account tweeting this is a neo-Nazi account.
Mike Shields has said some wild fucking dumb shit.
It's always wild and dumb, but it's never neo-Nazi. It's never like it's not wild and dumb, by the way.
Yeah, okay, hold on.
Notice
I don't use the...
Wait, question.
Okay.
You said Mike Shields has said some wild and dumb shit. Can you think of a single thing that he said that's wild and dumb against MAGA? Or does it always go in one direction?
No, yeah, he probably has criticized Trump for being too Zionist.
So it's not wild and dumb, right? Do you see how you play with the language there? It's wild and dumb. You make it sound random, but it's not. It's always pointed in a particular direction. So he might be more neo-Nazi than MAGA.
So what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? That he's a Nazi?
Stop giving cover. Stop saying it's random. Stop saying it's crazy. It's so stupid and wild. It's not stupid. It's not wild. It's very intentional. It's not random. It's very pointed. And it's not like, it's not random. It's deliberate.
What do you think Jake Shields wants? Do you think he wants to kill Jews? Because hold on.
Why does it have to be to kill Jews? It could just be
because that's what the fucking Nazis did. This is why I, on principle, will not call anyone a fucking Nazi.
The Nazis killed them as the final solution. There were other solutions before the final solution. That was the last part of the plan, was killing them all. But before that, it was shipping them into ghettos. Before that, it was stripping them of their jobs. Before that, it was moving them to other countries and camps. Before that, it was making them work to death. Like, it wasn't just killing them. There were other parts of it that went before it. I wish that Hitler would have died in 1940 so that somebody else could have come in and done the death camps. Because now, anytime you talk about Nazism or any of this shit, it's always like, well, are we killing them yet? There was a whole bunch of shit that happened before the death camps, right? Sorry. Love you.
That very gaslighting of you.
No,
sorry.
you're gaslighting because you always do this thing.
I'm kidding.
Where you're like, does he want to kill all the Jews? No, why does it have to be the most extreme binary final solution? They literally called it the final solution for people like you, not like this is what showed up on the TPS report of one of 15 options that we could pursue. Go ahead, sorry. I'll give you the last word because I was already supposed to leave because I have a flight tonight.
This is great. No, this is how I wanted to end. Yeah.
I'm not going to be in my fucking... Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how to communicate it to you that when you say someone is a Nazi, the connotation that most people have is, oh, you mean like the Nazis who exterminated the Jews? And you say, well, hold on.
Do you think that I don't understand that? Why are you saying this? I've been doing online communication for 15 years. Why do you think I don't understand that? I know that there are heavy connotations there.
Because I don't think you actually care that much about trying to convince.
You understand that I had a whole rift. I had a whole rift with my community. It arguably drove one of the most insane drama rifts when I was debating, when Fuentes was trying to go more mainstream with his Christian nationalism, although he's actually a Catholic, he's very not much like okay with Protestants. But when he was trying to do his Christian nationalist bullshit, right, I was very big on saying, because they had toned back some of the anti-Semitic stuff and they were more focused on like culture-y stuff and other stuff. I was like, I don't identify Fuentes at this moment as a neo-Nazi. I don't even know if I would consider him right now a neo-Nazi. I think he does some anti-Semitic shit, but I'll just attack the police. I don't know if I consider him a neo-Nazi. That was like a huge rift in my community. A lot of people got upset at that. And it wasn't until after the Kanye shit that I was like, okay, never mind. Now we're back in neo-Nazi territory. Well, but it's a huge thing in my community.
Okay. But, well,
I love you.
I kind of believe that you love me a little bit, because I think you know that I recognize the danger of what happens if people like Jake Shields becomes the thought leaders of large groups of disaffected young men with weapons. That would be bad. And I think you know that I know that.
Yeah, but I think we totally disagree on how to get there.
On how we do.
Yeah, but
like when someone says when someone says Israel did 9/11, I'd go, you know what? I've never looked into it. Maybe they did. How would I know? And then someone says, okay, well now what? let's look into it. Oh wait, we do look into it. And didn't you look into it exactly with Nick Fuentes?
You keep going back to this thing, and I'll say,
didn't you see? In your champion spotlight, I cited you talking.
I will issue this exact same thing. Show me where this level of skepticism has ever been present or this level of charitability has ever been present when it's about the left. It's always in one direction. If somebody says something bad about the left, oh yeah, probably. But when it's bad about the right, it's like, well, I don't know. We have to check that. We got to fact check that. We need to verify that.
Like what? Like what's a left-wing conspiracy that they killed Martin Luther King? They probably did fucking kill Martin Luther King. They did kill Fred Hampton.
It's just this infinite charitability to people on the right, and on the left, it's like nothing. Like I never get that. I've never heard that.
You know what? All right, the next time we talk, we'll only agree, okay? Because I don't know. I know that I give the same charitability to the far right as I do the far left.
Really? Okay, I'm curious. Have you ever said that the Hillary email thing was a complete and total farce?
Okay, that's not the fucking far left.
Okay, have you ever mentioned that? Have you ever mentioned that the whole Benghazi stuff was a total farce?
That is so Wait, what do you mean?
Have you ever mentioned anything about the fact that the election was stolen via the Supreme Court from Gore? That recount was stopped on the 15th of December because they were so concerned about. Okay. Or the fact that the Ken Starr investigation into Clinton was just Republicans mining for half a decade to try to find something bad about him. Or that the entire Hunter Biden laptop story and all of the investigations that came from that, where it was fucking insane bullshit.
You and I have completely different ideas of what the key, like the Jews run the world, anti-Semitism on the far right. That's far deeper than those are not equivalent at all to like whether or not Benghazi was in Ken Starr and all that shit. It's like there's deep issues on the far right that are affecting people psychologically. There are deep issues on the far left. Like, is America fucking systemically racist? Like, certainly fucking was, and it certainly is to
how about stuff with COVID?
A certain degree.
Do you acknowledge that conservatives have had the talking points around like COVID have basically been like a lie from almost the start?
Good thing I watch you, because as far as I know, every debate they've, like with the fucking Majid Nawaz, it was like, in Japan there was fucking shit in their vaccines. And you're like, yeah, that was a specific batch of defective vaccines that they pulled out. Majid Nawaz was like, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I don't have to take Majid Nawaz as seriously as I would otherwise.
Have you ever tweeted about that or mentioned it in any video ever?
No, because I'm trying to appeal to the right wing by me using all these anti-Semitic dog whistles to advance non-anti-Semitism.
Okay. Why would you only try to appeal to the right wing?
I'll say that. I'll just say this.
Shouldn't you be trying to appeal to the left to move people right as well? Why not use their dog whistles? Why not say, like, I actually think a lot of people on the right are toxically masculine, and then use that dog whistle, even though you don't believe in toxic masculinity, bring them over?
You and I agree the right are probably a bigger threat at this point.
Yeah, but you said 70-30. That's still a pretty big threat from the left, and they were just in office and power, right?
Yeah, well, they're not no threat.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I love you, buddy. Right. Maybe I'll stop by where you live on my way back from New York, and I'll find you in real life, and I'll... You know what?
Yeah, I'm not far from Rowan.
Okay. Oh, that's true. He told me that. We drove by your house. We camped out for like 3 hours waiting for you to come outside, and you didn't. So.
My handler let me know you were coming, so I was okay.
Okay. Well, hey, I love you, buddy. Be careful. Stay safe.
That's
okay.
Good.
Bye.
Peace.